First, I'd like to thank our staff who have prepared cases on your behalf today. They worked really hard to present cases so we can look at them here at the time. And I also like to thank our fellow board members around the table and our one remote, Ms. Otto, today. Again, they volunteer their time the second and fourth Wednesday of each month at no fee, no consideration other than we serve at the pleasure of the mayor. So with that in mind, I'd like to turn it over to Sarah and let her tell us about the issues of the day.
All right, thank you, and good morning. I'm going to describe the procedures for today's hybrid meeting. First, for everyone joining us online, please know that there are two categories of people participating in the meeting: attendees and panelists. Right now, the only panelists are board members and city staff. If you are an applicant or a member of the public who is interested in a case, please use the raise hand function when the case is announced to let staff know that you would like to speak on a case. There is a ribbon at the bottom of your Zoom screen with a hand icon. Please click this to raise your hand to request a promotion to panelist. You will need to accept the promotion in order to speak. It may appear temporarily as if you have been disconnected, but don't panic. You will reconnect shortly. If you are joining us via the Zoom app on a smartphone or computer, please change your screen name to reflect your legal name. If you are calling in from a phone line, you cannot adjust your screen name. It appears as your phone number. You can still provide testimony by raising your hand when the case is called by pressing star followed by the number 9. At the time of promotion, you must turn on your camera and microphone to be sworn in. Your microphone needs to always be on mute unless you are giving testimony at the appropriate time. The chat box is only for questions about the agenda. The merits of each case are not to be discussed in the chat box. For those joining us today in person, please approach the microphone on the podium when it is appropriate to give testimony. Applicants may be seated at the center desk when the case is announced. Everyone planning to testify must sign in on the sign-in sheet that is in the vestibule near the door. If you are in person, there is no need for you to be on the Zoom meeting as well. Joining the meeting in both manners causes a lot of unnecessary feedback and audio disruptions. All public testimony, in person and virtual, is subject to the following rules. The BZA secretary or their designated representative will identify you when it is time for you to speak. You must be sworn in under oath to provide testimony. Please provide your full name and address when you are sworn in. Everyone, board members, city staff, members of the public, needs to speak closely and clearly into the microphone. The BCA has set time limits for all testimony during its meeting. These time limits are 15 minutes for staff presentations, 20 minutes for presentations by applicants, 2 minutes for testimony by individuals, and 5 minutes for testimony by persons representing an organization, such as a neighborhood association, HOA, CID, or business association. You will hear an alarm when your allotted time is over. Please be respectful and wrap up your statement once you hear the alarm. We ask that there be no repetitive or irrelevant testimony. If you wish to admit exhibits, you need to have your exhibits ready on a jump drive or ready to share on your screen, and email the exhibits if they are admitted to the assigned planner. The Board of Zoning Adjustment may take breaks during the day. These breaks are typically taken around 10:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 3 o'clock p.m., and will be announced by the chair. And those are all of our meeting procedures.
Thank you, Ms. Copeland. And before we start to review cases, I'd like to swear in all city staff who will be presenting or testifying today. If you're online, please turn on your camera and microphone. Do we have anyone online today?
Lana is online.
Okay, great. Everyone ready? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this meeting today? Please identify yourselves.
Sarah Copeland, I do.
James Duddy, I do.
Alec Gustafson, I do.
Stephanie Saldari, I do.
Connor Tomlin, I do.
And Anna is online.
Anna Nanisky, I do.
Thank you, everyone. Sarah, I'm going to turn it over to you to identify the dismissals and or continuances for the day.
The first is docket item number 12, case CD BZA 2025-76, a request to approve a variance to the front setback in an infill residential context area plus any other additional variances in an R6 zoning district on about 0.227 acres, generally located at 1533 Northeast 51st Terrace. We request that this case be continued with fee to July 9th. Docket item number 13 is case CD BZA 2025-73, a request to approve a variance to the minimum lot area requirements in an R5 zoning district to permit an additional unit be added to a structure, plus any additional variances on about 0.12 acres, generally located at 7411 Montcalm Avenue. Staff requests this item be dismissed. And docket item number 14 is case CD SUP 2025-13, a request to approve a special use permit to allow for the construction of a gasoline and fuel sales establishment in districts B3-2 and R7.5 on about 1 acre, generally located at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Bel Air Avenue. We request this be continued to July 23rd.
Thank you. Is there any public testimony either in the live audience or in the virtual audience on these dismissals and or continuances?
There are no hands raised online.
Great, thank you. Board members, I'll entertain a motion on the continuances, and then let's do a separate one for the dismissal. Thank you. With the fee, don't forget. Go ahead. Anyone?
I'll make a motion to, in case docket number 12, case number 76, that we continue that one with fee to the July 9th meeting.
Okay.
Docket number 13, case number 73, I make a motion we dismiss that one. And then docket item number 14, case number 13, I make a motion that we continue that one to the July 23rd meeting.
Perfect. I have a motion from Ms. Wright. Do I have a second? From Mr. Gorens? Thank you.
Gorens,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. Those items are acted upon. And Sarah, go ahead and tell us about the first case today.
First case is docket item number 1, case CD BZA 2025-63, a request to approve a variance to the maximum height requirement in an infill residential context area, plus any additional variances in an R 2.5 zoning district on about 0.105 acres, generally located at 4612 Mercer Street. Chair, this is very similar to items 5 and 6. Would you like me to go ahead and call those two cases as well? They're 3 lots all in a row.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Docket item number 5 is case CD BZA 2025-74, a request to approve a variance to the maximum height requirement in an infill residential context area, plus any additional variances in an R 2.5 zoning district on about 0.105 acres, generally located at 4608 Mercer Street. And docket item number 6 is case CD BZA 2025-75, a request to approve a variance to the maximum height requirement in an infill residential context area, plus any additional variances in an R 2.5 zoning district on about 0.105 acres, generally located at 4614 Mercer Street. The staff planner for this case is Alex Gustafson.
Who do we have? Audience? Yeah, come on up. Good morning, sir. I'm going to swear you in. And do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this meeting today?
I do.
State your name and address for the court reporter, please.
Name is Nick Christopher. Address is 1517 Westport Road, Kansas City.
Great, thank you. Nick, there's a list of administrative exhibits associated with your case, labeled 1 to 9, I think. I'm almost there. Alec, yeah, 1 to 9. Do you have any questions on those, or can I have your permission to admit those?
That'd be great. Please do.
Okay, thank you. Part of that is a presentation by Alec to your left. So Alec, tell us all about these cases.
All right. Well, good morning, board. My name is Alec Gustafson, Development Management Division. We have docket items number 1, 5, and 6 that we'll hear at the same time today. These are 3 different properties all in a row that are requesting variances to the infill ordinance. They are 3 consecutive properties, so we're hearing at the same time, but they will be approved separately. This site is located in the West Plaza neighborhood in the 6th district. This is an image of the site. All 3 sites highlighted between West 46th Street and West 47th Street and Mercer and Terrace Street. Just a little case history. We have a minor subdivision that was created these three lots that was approved in March of 2021, which was CLDMS 2019.
You're not
Oh,
sharing your screen with Zoom.
Give me 1 second. Sorry, hold on. Okay, we all should be able to see that now on Zoom as well. Like I said, we really have some case history. This is just a minor subdivision that created these three lots. Before we get further into this case now, I would like to give a little bit of context into the infill ordinance and the context area as they're written in the code. The purpose of the infill ordinance is to ensure that residential development in the established neighborhoods is generally consistent with form, bulk, and placement and scale of the existing residential buildings of the same building type. This is basically just to stimulate investment, establish neighborhoods, and provide sufficient flexibility to allow incremental evolution of established neighborhoods to meet the community's change and needs. The context area, though, is defined as all properties along the same street face within a 200-foot buffer. So the general consistent form, bulk, placement, and scale is in regard to the homes that are within the context area, which is that on the same block face, 200-foot buffer around the site. So just a little information about what we're looking at and why we're looking at these specific homes as the context for the plans proposed by the applicant. This is the context area and the sites. I've highlighted each site individually and then showed you what the context area is. So what's highlighted in blue is the context area. What's highlighted in yellow is the site and then the buffer of 200 feet around the site. This is on the same block face. So the homes on the opposite side of West 46th Street do not count because they're not on the same block. So in your 200-foot buffer, we have 2 homes to the north and 3 homes to the south for 4608 Mercer Street. For 4612, this is the middle site. The context area is generally the same, except for it adds that last house on the Mercer Street 46 and 47th block. And then we have the same context area for 4614 Mercer Street. This is a view of the site as it currently sits undeveloped. This is just, it's 3 lots that are currently undeveloped, so I'm not going to go through on Google Street View and show you each individual site. It's just all one empty lot right now. That's split by this minor subdivision that I spoke about earlier. Another view of the site as it currently sits. And then these are the homes to the south of the subject site that are within the context area. It is important to note that this is the context that these homes should be analyzed against or with. And then these are the homes to the north of the subject site. This is what is proposed by the applicant. These are 3-story homes up to about 30 feet in height. And we'll get further into the plans now. This is just the rendering. This is the site plan as the houses are proposed to be set on the sites with rear setbacks that are slightly smaller than what is required in an infill context area such as this one. And then this is the elevations from the street view of these homes. So our variance analysis summary, since we're hearing them all at the same time, I'm just going to go through each case individually, but with similar variances. So these projects are being constructed at the same time. They all have very similar variances. There's only one variance that is different in comparison to the other ones, which is 4614, which would be an 18-foot maximum building height variance, based on the context area that it surrounds it. So we'll begin with 4608 Mercer Street, CDBZA 2025-74. Variance request A is a variance of 1 foot, 1 inch and 3/4 to the rear yard setback in an infill residential lot to permit a 25-foot, 1 1/4 inch setback on the subject site. This is a 4.1% reduction. Substantial change to the character of the neighborhood is not necessarily anticipated. It's such a minuscule variance, but the home could be moved up closer a little by 1 foot to make it compliant with what's required. But this is a pretty small variance. Variance B is a variance of 6 feet to the maximum building height in an infill residential lot to permit a building height of 30 feet on the subject site. It's a 25% increase. And based on the character of the neighborhood, a substantial change to the character of this neighborhood and this context area would be anticipated. All the other homes, besides the 2 homes to the north, are single-story homes. The plans also propose an elevator and awning, which are exempt from being a part of the height measurement. And I'll get further into that in a second. However, from the street, the view of these homes proposed could be perceived to be even taller than what the requested variances is, due to the elevator and the awning. These design characteristics also make the property inconsistent with the surrounding neighborhood's character. The home could be redesigned to be 1 single story and meet the necessary infill requirements. And just to get a little bit further into this, when we're talking about building height, Infill Ordinance 88-110-07D 6A discusses how we measure the building height and what we take into account when we're looking at this. So with the residential buildings, a roof pitch between 0 and 12 and 3 and 12, and between 9 and 12 and 12 and 12 may not exceed the height in full, not partial stories, of the greater of the 2 nearest residential buildings of the same building type on that same block face. So essentially, we look at the 2 homes that are closest to the subject site, and we take the taller of the 2, and we look at that one to tell us whether or not what the height requirement can be. So in this scenario, we have the very next house to the north is 2 stories from the street view. Since the home is between 012 and 312, it's proposed a 212 pitch. The height cannot exceed what is already existing, being 24 feet, since 12 foot is what we define as 1 story. So 2 stories would be 24 feet. And we have the very next context area home, the larger of the 2, is 2 stories. So that is why it's a 6-foot variance. What's being requested is a 30-foot building. The required maximum building height is 24 feet. Now, we do take into account the fact that there is a elevator and stair and rooftop patio proposed on this site. It's an additional 9 feet of perceived building height. This is not, again, I explained a little bit earlier, and I'll go into a little bit detail now, but the awning and the stair are actually exempt from the exact measurement of the building height, as far as 88-2013B and B4 is concerned. So we don't actually look at that as official building height, but it still is perceived building height. So the plan also requests an additional 9 feet of structure to an elevator shaft and stair. This makes the home appear closer to 39 feet, which is 15 feet taller than the homes to the north. And then if you look at the overall context area, we have 15 feet taller to the 2-story house to the north, but most of the other context area homes are 1 story from the street view. So just bring that to your attention as well. And then I also have just a screenshot from the code to show that 88-2013B, the exemption stating that these are exempt from the actual measurement of the building height. Our next variance is variance request C, a variance of 9% to the width of a front-loaded garage in an infill residential lot to permit a garage which occupies 49% on the ground level facade on the subject site. This is a 4-foot 6-inch variance, a 33.33% increase. A substantial change to the character of the neighborhood would be anticipated. All other homes in the context area do have conforming garage sizes to infill ordinance, and there's not necessarily a physical hardship to justify this change to the character's neighborhood. The garages could be redesigned to be smaller and more consistent with the surrounding neighborhood. And a little bit more into that, 88-110-07 EC states that when an attached garage is visible from the street, the garage door shall not occupy more than 40% of the width of the ground level facade. This applies to all garages under the main floor as well as garages adjacent to the main floor. So where the garage is below the main floor level, measurements to determine the maximum facade percentage shall be at the grade closest to the main floor level. What's proposed here in the site plan is a 49% garage width. What's required is 40% of the building width is 13 feet 6 inches. So the requirement would be that, and proposed is 18 feet. So it's basically 9% more than what is permitted. We'll move on to 4612 Mercer Street, CDBZA 2025-63. And these are going to be the same variances, so it won't be quite as in-depth because I gave you most of that context in the previous case. The variances are the same, so it's a variance of 1 foot, 1 inch and 3/4 to the rear yard setback in an infill residential lot to permit a 25-foot, 1 inch and 1/4 on the subject site. This is a 4.1% reduction. Similar to the one previous, a substantial change to the character of the neighborhood is not anticipated. Home could be moved up by a foot, but I mean, this is such a small variance. It's not perceived to be that big of a deal. Variance request B is going to be the same scenario with the building height as the property previously. It's a 6-foot variance to the maximum building height, perceived 15-foot building height variance. Substantial character of the neighborhood would be anticipated for the same reasons. The two homes in the context area are 2 stories, but every other home in the context area to be consistent with what infill requires, consistent form, bulk, and character. All the other homes are 1 story. So it's the same scenario here. The home could be redesigned to be one story shorter and meet the necessary infill requirements rather than being a 30-foot building height with a perceived building height of 39 feet. It could be 24 feet. Variance C is going to be the same. It's a 9% variance to the width of a front-loaded garage. The same scenario. What's required is 13 feet 6 inches. They're asking for 18 feet garage width, which is a 33.33% increase. Due to the context area, a substantial change to the character of the neighborhood would be anticipated, whereas all the homes in the context area have 40% or less garage widths. The garage could be redesigned. And we'll move on to 4614 Mercer Street, CDBZA 2025-75. These variances are mostly similar, but variance B for the building height will be a bit larger due to the fact that its homes that we measure it against would be the homes to the south. Variance request A is the same, 1 foot, 1 inch, 3/4 to the rear yard setback. Substantial change to the character of the neighborhood not anticipated. The home could be moved. Variance request B, this is the slightly different one with an 18-foot variance to the maximum building height. Substantially character of the neighborhood would be anticipated. The 2 homes to the north are singles. The 2 homes to the south, I'm sorry, that's a typo, are single-story homes. Both of the 2 nearest homes are single-story, and there's no necessary physical hardship that justifies this nonconformance. The home could be redesigned. And just to get further into this, again, it's the same scenario. It's a 212 building pitch, roof pitch, except for the fact that the homes to the south that we hold this accountable with are 1 story, making that the maximum required building height 12 feet. If you can recall the plans that were proposed, it is 30 feet. So that makes this an 18-foot variance. The home on 4614 Mercer Street, though, however, does not have an elevator shaft or a rooftop patio. So we don't need to think about the perceived height. It's just flat out 30 feet. And then here's the proposed home. Again, 18-foot variance. And then we have variance C. This is a variance of 9% to the width of a front-loaded garage in the infill residential lot to permit a garage which occupies 49% of the ground level facade. Same scenario. It is a 33.33% increase due to the context area of the rest of the homes in the neighborhood or in the block face. These garages all have 40% or less garage widths at the ground level facade. So the garage could be redesigned. And just again, this is the variance analysis summary. This is what we will have you be making your motion based on. So each one will have separate motions with these variances as listed. I highlight variance B in 4614 Mercer Street due to the fact that it is a larger variance than the rest. It's the only one that's different. That concludes my staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
We have questions of staff, anyone? Do we have anyone in the audience who's either for or against this, Sarah?
We did not have any hands raised online.
Anyone in the live audience interested in this case? Nope. You are, come on up. Are you going to testify or are you just a reporter? I can't.
My family owns 4620.
That's okay. I'm going to swear you in and then you can give us your opinion, sir, in just a second. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this meeting today?
Yes, I do, sir.
Please state your name and address for the court reporter.
My name is Joseph Burnett. My family owns the residence at 4620 Mercer. That's within that designated zone we've been discussing.
I'll let you make comments in just a moment. Are you for or against these cases?
I'm against.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'll give you a chance to testify here in just a minute.
Thank you.
Thank you. So stay right there. Thank you. All right, Mr. Christopher, these are a lot of variances you're asking for today. Tell us why we should grant them.
Yeah, first, really appreciate your time and the discussion. And as you said, when we started, Alec's been amazing, just helping steer us through the process and this and other projects. I'd say we too desire our homes and our designs and our buildings to be contextual, first and foremost. And we think that generally these are trying to be two-story homes in a dense metropolis where two-story homes we think fit the context. To that end, we recognize that we're being looked at it as the block face and really the immediate neighbors, and we recognize we have a one-story home. But if you actually look at the circumference of our context, in some ways, we're actually much less dense. But again, I think that's something of interest to me as we look at building homes within our metro through the infill standards that in some ways actually are reducing density. So first and foremost, we too desire it to be contextual. I'd say along that end, we are trying to build something that meets the modern day market and residential market, hence the two-car garage and trying to keep cars off the street. We recognize that we probably could accommodate 2 cars with a 16-foot overhead door, but much less than that, it gets really hard to have a 2-car garage. The other point is we did design and kind of fully document these homes throughout. As Alex said, we've got some history on this, 2020. So we're effectively ready to break ground on a design that met the zoning of R2.5 at a time post, the 2023 infill standards. And so for us, really the hardship is just going back through an entire redesign, structural fees, et cetera, and basically doing it over again. And I recognize that at some point cities kind of have to adopt things and move forward, but that's sort of the hardship we're facing. Again, I think pending where we go, our desire too is to keep it contextual. Thank you very much.
All right. Board members, questions of Mr. Christopher? Go ahead.
Mark, I really like your roof lines and think it could fit in. I like the roof lines. Thank you.
Thanks.
My concern is the height. Now, the 6 foot on paper doesn't look as bad as when it's actually built, sir. when you add on the top roof deck and the overhang. So that's my concern, at least on 4608 and 4612. 4614 doesn't have that same concept. Even they're asking for a greater variance on that building. It's the perceived variance, it's the perceived height on the other two. So that's my concern. How do you answer that, sir?
Yeah, I'd encourage us to examine that through the 3D view as opposed to the 2D elevation, where I do think our intention was to provide an amenity, which is a rooftop deck, which requires the stair overrun. Other than that, again, we see these as really two-story buildings, just built in the fact that we have a site with a lot of grade, no alley access for our garage doors, which again forces us to try to, we did try to push the elevation as low into the grade as possible without incurring a lot of kind of issues with water into the garage. And so we'll still have trench drain and a lot of engineering to work through on that. Thank you, Alec. I think this view helps.
Share your screen, Alec. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're stepping back that overrun for that roof deck to help with the perceived view of height and really trying to get these viewed as two-story homes. But I fully appreciate that that's subjective, and pending where you're standing, if you're at the sidewalk, you might not really see that overrun. If you're across the street and up a hill, you will. That would be my response. Thank you. Does that help address the question?
Bonds.
Okay.
Mr. Any other
Chairman,
questions of Joseph? Oh, Ms. Otto, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, in the thing I just saw, there's a green space between the end and the next home that is a one-story home. Is that realistic? What's the distance between the home that I saw on the left of the screen and the existing one-story home?
We're looking at that. Chris, yeah, that's to you, Chris.
The short answer is I don't know the distance between the home. I know we have a 5-foot side yard setback on that home.
Right. So this photograph this description is not really accurate, that there's that much green space between that, where the cursor is, to the home to the next to it, correct? I mean, my concern is the same as Mr. Abbott's, is height. These are going to dwarf. I mean, I know it's on a sort of a little bit of a grade, but I think it's going to, it doesn't look as bad next to the newer homes. Is that to the south?
To the north, I think, Teresa.
North, sorry.
That's okay. And do you want to show a picture of that, Alec, to refresh Teresa's?
Yes, what I'm showing right now is just the aerial view to show where that house directly to the south sits in relation to its property line. And then when you look at this aerial site plan, it looks like it's 5-foot setback there. But I believe what Teresa's speaking about is this.
Right, correct. That's correct, Alec. Yes, where your
And-
cursor is.
So 5 foot, is that what you're thinking, Alec?
5 feet from the property line, and then the house that we see in the aerial. I don't know the exact measurement of that house, the one that's already constructed, but it has a probably similar or minimal setback.
And sir, the one to the north, one of the newer homes, it appears to be 4602 maybe. I see it on the right side of your screen, but I think did you have a live picture of that earlier from Google Street
yes.
View, as I recall? Yes.
Yeah, I think the house I'm thinking about, and it's not that one, it's the one up the street.
I agree, Teresa. It's that one right there. Yes.
Correct. So that's, the roof comes out. I'm just concerned about that height, so.
And Mr. Christopher, because that street does slope down, I want to call it from 46, maybe 18 down to 4602, it slopes down. I'm not sure about how that grade looks compared to your homes.
I'm not understanding the question.
Oh,
But where is the roof line in this picture we're looking at, sir? Where is the peak of its roof line that you see there on the left of what would be the left of the screen that I can see? How does that measure to the height of the new home that will be sitting next to it?
We did not create that illustration for
Okay.
review.
Since you've been on the design team, sir, what would be a rough estimate on that?
As you saw in the elevation, we do have a lower pitched roof on that home. Where the home to the left had maybe a 612 or 812 pitch. So potentially they're not that different, but I would be merely speculating about plus or minus 6 feet.
All right. Joseph, let's hear from you, sir.
All right, I want to thank you for my time today. And I want to start off by saying, yes, my family's owned 4620 since 1931. So,
Talking to the microphone.
sorry, my apologies.
There you go. Perfect.
My family's owned 4620 since 1931, so kind of have a vested interest in the neighborhood, you could say. My main concerns today are with the property not being maintained now. The as currently sits does not show the overgrowth on the property. And my question is, are you going to maintain the property before you build, start doing groundwork and start this construction?
To Christopher.
My hope would be that we would.
I hope so as well.
And sir, is that your only concern on the project? Are you concerned about the
That's-
heights or anything else?
I am also concerned about the heights. I don't believe that following not getting a variance is a hardship, and they have not shown really any true hardship in needing to design within current specifications. So kind of still on them to prove that they need this variance because they have done nothing to show that they need this. I, of course, want the property to be something. I don't like it being a vacant, overgrown lawn.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they necessarily need the variance. So
You're farther to the south of these projected properties, and that means you're higher up on the hill, I think, as I want to call it.
yeah,
that.
I'm 2 houses away. So there's
Understood.
4614, and then there's 4620.
And are you a single-story house, sir?
Pretty much, yeah. Has a completed upstairs, but that's barely anything up there. It's an attic, you know. It's not really a story.
Right, right. Okay. Any other comments, Joseph?
That's pretty much my comment, that I do want would prefer the property maintained as is before they started construction. Obviously, have concerns about construction. That's gonna, upheaval things, but you have to crack some eggs to build an omelet. I'm totally understanding that. But I still like the yard mode up until then.
Right. Thank you very much. for
Thank you.
that. As a single board member, variance 1 and 3 don't bother me very much. It's variance 2 that bothers me. And go ahead, Mr. Meyer.
Could you pull up the one image again? The house that's directly behind where these are going, it looks like it's about the same height as what these renderings are. Is that correct?
Vacant lot, there you go.
You're talking about this view?
Correct.
Yeah. The house that's outside of the context area, but behind the houses nonetheless.
Correct.
Yes, it is about the same design style. It's about the same height. I would be willing to pull up Parcel Viewer to show you that site if we would like to administer another exhibit.
Sure, that'd be great. Let's go ahead and do that. That might alleviate my fears about the height.
Yeah.
So these would be the homes to the west of the property. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Alec.
Now, I will say that in our initial pre-application meeting that we discussed, when we discussed this property, this specific property was one of the first homes built prior to the infill context area ordinance, or prior to the infill ordinance.
This would be exhibit number 10. Thank you.
Yes.
And Alec, I hate to do this to you. You can share your screen, please.
Oh.
Thank you. I'm sorry. So Miss Otto can see in the audience.
Thank you, Mr. Ebbets.
And this home was one of the initial homes that started the conversation about why infill was necessary. due to the fact that the homes surrounding it are much smaller than what was built. If you look at the surrounding context, when we talk about form, context, and character, this was one of the homes that initiated that conversation.
So there's just one on the block.
Just one.
Yeah, that's my concern, Mr. Evans and board. I mean, that looks very out of character. Even if you put 3, that's going to look even bigger. I think I'm concerned that you allow this and then basically you're encouraging all these small homes to be torn down and redeveloped to these bigger sizes, and it does then change the entire character of the neighborhood.
There are a lot of these bungalow homes on that West Plaza area, Miss Otto. I think you drive that area as much as I do, so
I
I'm
do.
familiar with that.
Yeah, I do.
Have you had any other neighborhood opposition or support?
Mr. Christopher?
Not that I'm aware of. We are aware of this home, and we think this home is 10 feet taller than what we're proposing, but we have not run the calculations on that.
Sir, how difficult would it be to prepare a document to show us what your structures would look like next to the small one-story houses? I mean, you don't have anything for us today, and that's really my concern. This picture here that you're just seeing is my concern, because you're gonna have not 1, but 3 massive buildings. And if you're right that this is 10 foot shorter, that could make a big difference to me. But I am uncomfortable, I guess, as one board member, that I have a good basis, to decide on behalf of the citizens here in Kansas City that this is not going to change a neighborhood dramatically.
Yeah, we can certainly prepare that exhibit. I'd also offer, just as an architect sort of working through the infill standards and again, wanting to do great contextual homes, the thing I find interesting about this site, and we sort of discussed it with Alec, which is that, once we do build the middle home as a 2-story home, and if we build it with a roof pitch between 312 and 912, then effectively the home that's next to the 1-story home by the infill standards can be 30 foot tall, as opposed to being regulated by the 1-story home. And I just think that's interesting as we think about how our city's developing and how we're either encouraging or discouraging development, and just as we're thinking about how our citizens are investing in our city.
All right. I sense that, Mr. Christopher, that you may want to continue this case for a period of time. We meet the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month in order to come back to us with a concern that addresses Ms. Otto's concern and some of mine about the height. So, what's your thought?
Yeah, I think I think our interest would be, as we said, we've already made a substantial investment getting to this point, and so we are trying to figure out how to move forward. And as you've noted, we have 3 properties with 3 variance requests on each that are very different. And I'm not sure how this all makes sense, but we'd love to just understand where we sit with the 9 of them. And if there's one property in particular that we need to continue to discuss, then I'd rather just continue to discuss the 1 and see where we sit with the 2, just for the sake of being able to make progress.
As one board member, I can tell you that I would like to see all of these in contextually together. Because I think if you're going to need to change one, you may need to change the other 2 as well. But I'm just one board member.
All right,
Yeah.
Mr. Christopher, I think continuing the case into July or whenever it's convenient for you to come back before us with some, and maybe even
Updated renderings.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so I'm clear, the additional ask is one exhibit that shows the house to the south in context with ours.
I think it would be good to show both houses, even maybe 2 houses on each side.
I-
Just a zoomed out version to show what it would look like would help tremendously.
I agree.
All
I
right,
love the design. I mean, I think it's a great design, but I think it would definitely help to understand. And if the other house is 10 foot taller, that plays a big role also. And it,
correct. Yep.
Okay.
And also, you're just the developer, right? Or you're not
The
the owner,
architect.
the architect.
yeah.
You might ask the owner to landscape the yard.
You
not
don't have to
landscape, but mow the yard.
Yeah,
Please say, to address the neighbor's concern.
They are listening in, and their position is we are contracting out the mowing, and it has been being mowed, and apparently the last couple weeks it hasn't gotten
We got a
mowed.
lot of
but
rain.
Yeah.
All right. So when would be convenient for you to come back with these? We meet July 9 or July 23rd, sir?
We will get on the exhibit, have something to Alec first thing next week, and sooner the better. So July 9th sounds like a
Okay.
good target.
I'll entertain a motion to continue this case to July 9th.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Otter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Meyer. Call the roll.
Can I clarify, are you doing all three or?
All
is
three,
this-
all three, yes, all three items.
Okay. Mr. Gorence,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Ebbets.
All right. We'll see you in a couple weeks, sir.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
By night.
Yeah, July 9th for that one, for all three cases, actually. All right, Miss Sarah. And Joseph, thank you for coming down.
Docket item number 2 is case CD BZA 2025-66. A request to approve a variance to the maximum size of a wall sign in an R 1.5 zoning district, plus any additional variances on about 2.11 acres, generally located at 9201 Ward Parkway. Connor Tomlin is the staff planner for this case. If you are the applicant or a member of the public who would like to speak on this case, please raise your hand online, or Mason McGill, is that your applicant? I'm going to promote Mason McGill to panelist. Any other members of the public who would like to speak on this case, please also raise your hand or approach the microphone on the podium to be sworn in.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. McGill, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else you see out there, Sarah?
We have no other hands raised online.
Okay, great. Mr. McGill, please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this meeting today? If so, please state your name and address.
Mason McGill, 9201 Ward Parkway.
And I do?
I do.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
Hmm.
Mr. McGill, there is a list of administrative exhibits we admit for each case. They're labeled 1 to 9. Do you have any questions on those exhibits, and do I have your permission to admit those?
Yes.
Great. 1 to 9 is admitted. One of that is a presentation by Mr. Tomlin. Connor, please tell us about the case.
Okay, today we have docket item 2, CD BZA 2025-66, located at 9201 Ward Parkway. This is an R 1.5 zoning district. The request is to approve a variance to the maximum size of a wall sign in an R-1.5 zoning district, plus any additional variances. This is the general location of the site. A closer look at the site itself off of Ward Parkway. This is the site map that was submitted. And then this is a closer look at the proposed signage. Just a little bit of site history, just for some context. The prior zoning of this site was R40 under prior zoning code. This zoning district was primarily residential, though it allowed 4 offices. And this is the reason that you see an office building constructed on the current residential zoning. Chapter 88 was adopted. There were guidelines for zoning district conversions, and R40 transitioned to R1.5. However, the previously permitted use of office did not transition with that. So this existing building would be considered legal nonconforming, and signage requirements under the prior code, in context to this request, would have been similar to today's requirements. They also had the option to rezone to O to match the other office uses along this stretch. However, they opted to move forward with the variance instead for those residential signage requirements. And additionally, there was evidence of previous signage from prior tenants that exceeded the maximum allowable size for a wall sign. There was a variance approved on January 10th of 1995 for this property to permit an illuminated wall sign at 43.5 square feet. The sign being requested today exceeds that previous approval by about 6 square feet. And then this image here is an example of signage that has been on the building in the past that exceeded the maximum size requirements. This one would have exceeded by quite a large amount. Today's variance request is a variance of 29.77 square feet to the maximum size of a wall sign in a residential zoning district. Again, that's 29.77 square feet. It allows the sign to be 49.77 square feet. A substantial change to the character of the neighborhood is not anticipated, and that's because the existing building has been used as office space for the entirety of its existence. And there's, as I showed in that previous slide, there's been signage in the past that also exceeded the maximum size. The difficulty could be obviated through a change of design, such as reducing that total size to 20 square foot to be compliant. However, this could impact the ability of those driving along Ward Parkway to accurately read that sign. And that is all I have today. Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions? Go
Is,
ahead.
is the bird a part of the sign square footage?
I believe it is. Let me share my screen again and pull that back up. Yes, it is.
And if that was removed, what would the variance be?
Looks like here, let me see what the size of that bird is roughly kind of hard to read. 77 inches across, and I think that's about a little over 3 feet tall. I can allow Mason to speak to that. He might have those numbers readily available.
I have a clear version of the PDF
Okay.
that I can share. The, as you see here, the bird is 74 inches or 74 and 3/4 inches wide, and then 3 feet and 3/4 inches tall. So
So roughly between 18 and 20 square feet, I believe, would be the size of that bird.
Okay.
That would take us down to closer to 30 square feet, right?
That would be correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ebbets. You can. Go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. Thanks, Ms. Otto. Mr. Tomlin, you said there's other signage that was on the building or still existing?
Not existing at the moment. There may be some on the east side of the building. Street view is was a little dated when I had looked at it. Let me share my screen again so everyone online can see. So going back to their site plan here, it shows a fuller extent of the building here at the bottom. It looks like you have an existing sign right here. The size of that, I'm not sure what that would be.
So, Mr. McGill, your Bluebird sign is an addition to the existing signage on the building, sir?
I think the photo provided is a little dated, because as the building sits currently, the I just shared my screen like a couple minutes ago, and as you could tell, the bottom left portion where you see the 3 windows, that is now a different color in the way the building sits today. So that sign is no longer hanging. This is not an additional sign that we are asking for. The only thing is that there was a sign hanging up there previously, that has now been removed. And now we were just asking, as we are a new tenant, we are asking for permission to hang up a new sign.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask Mr. McGill a question?
Go ahead.
Mr. McGill, so is Bluebird Fiber the only tenant in this building?
No, they are not. So this is a three-story, or this is a two-story building with a basement that has multiple tenants inside. The tenant, Bluebird Fiber is up on the top space, I guess, suite number 300, and we occupy that entire floor. Then there's one additional tenant that occupies the main floor. They're called Bison State Bank. And then in the basement, I think there are 2 to 3 tenants that do not require exterior signage. They just have it's kind of like a multi-tenant office space where they just have kind of a sign on the outside of their door, their office door. So the main floor tenant, Bison State Bank, has a sign. It is just not hanging on the side of the building. It is a sign that is outside of the front door, kind of perpendicular to the building, facing the, I believe, south parking lot.
So like a monument sign, Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right. That's a question. So why should we grant your request, Mr. McGill?
So like as it was mentioned, we are an office space. This building has always been used as an office space. But unfortunately, I think through our discussions with Connor, our building just didn't fit the code that it should have been fitting inside of. So we really do feel like we're at a disadvantage to our competitors, as we are not able to fully display our logo. Our logo is a key aspect of our marketing efforts, and we do feel like we're lacking visibility from the street. Obviously, Ward Parkway is a very heavily trafficked traffic street in the city, and we feel like we're losing out on a ton of eyeballs and a ton of visibility without a sign on the exterior of our building.
How much foot traffic comes to your office every day? I mean, is this a place where, your workers just come to, or do you actually have the public visit you there?
A little bit of both. We do require our employees to come in at least 3 days a week into the office. We have multiple other offices across the Midwest, but in this specific one, 3 days a week. And we do not get much foot traffic as there's no direct sidewalks next to along Ward Parkway in front of our building. But I will say that we do have meeting spaces where we often have Kansas City Tech Councils and other forms of meetings that we invite others to join. So it's kind of a difficult question, as we're not a consumer business. We serve other businesses, but that's not to say that we don't meet with the decision makers of those other businesses that at our office.
Right, and I asked that in terms of the size and the number of people visiting your site. For example, if you're in a multi-floored building that has, I'm just going to use doctors, they have people coming and going all day long, so signage is terribly, terribly important to direct traffic. So it's in an office building, it just depends on the type of business somewhat. So I appreciate that honest response. Remind me from the board, what square footage would be allowed if this was in an office zone, the neighboring office zone? How much of a variance would they need?
So if this was zoned office, they'd be following non-residential signage code. And at this point, since it's a multi-tenant building, they'd be following the subtenant signage. Within this residential zoning, there's nothing outlining subtenant versus just a normal wall sign. But in office, the subtenant signage, I believe, maximizes at 12 square feet, which is actually smaller than the 20 square foot that's allowed within the residential zoning code.
So really, there's no disadvantage. I mean, you have 8 more square feet of allowed space for the sign based on its current zone.
Right. If this were a single tenant building in an O district, they'd be allowed 10%. However, subtenant signage is allowed 12 square feet, if my memory serves me correct.
Thank you.
And Mr. McGill, as I recall, to your south, there are a number of office buildings going up to maybe 94th and Ward Parkway or 94th and Warrenell Road where it curves around. Are you aware of any signage on those buildings, sir?
I think there are I think there are signs on the exteriors of those buildings, but as it was mentioned, those are zoned like
As office.
as office instead, and ours just didn't fall into the office zoning. I guess it was a Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, but this was like a use zoning, and it did not make the qualifications for the office zoning. So now it's now residential.
Right. And I'll share my screen just so everyone online can see as well as I explain. So you'll see here on this map, let me zoom in just a little bit here. You'll see here, these are O2, O2, O2 right now, and then yours is R15. And then in black lettering, you'll see O, OO, and R40. The black lettering is the previous zoning district. So 3 of these properties have always been office. This one was the same as yours at one point, but I believe in my research, quite a long time ago, they had rezoned to match that O2. But you would be correct that that one property was also R40 rather than just standard office at one point.
Mr. McGill, is this sign going to be backlit?
It will not be.
And Connor, quick question for you. If he took off the bluebird, what kind of variance would he need at that point? The actual symbol bluebird.
It depends on the exact square footage of it. Based on my math, roughly at the moment, it'd be anywhere between 18 and 21 square feet, less than the 49.77 square feet proposed. It would still need a variance more than likely, though I don't have that exact figure at the moment.
All right, board members, any other questions? Mr. McGill, any chance that you might do a slight redesign? So I gotta look at this one more time.
Can you pull up that prior photo again?
Yeah.
And I'm just one board member. I think if that's the only sign that's going on the building, I don't have a problem with it. But if there's going to be 4 other tenants that want to do the same size signs up there, then it looks like a NASCAR car. So that sign's a fourth of the size of the prior sign that was on it.
Correct. Yep.
I think that last sign, the entire building was consumed by that tenant. That's my concern. Mr. Meyer, yeah, I agree with you. I think we're looking at a building that could have multiple signs, and it's not big enough for that. And we're still we're still in a residential zone. So we have other cases in schools that have come before us, and we try to stay consistent. So I think, a sign we could give a small variance, but it needs to be more reasonable than this. And in light of this business's lack of ongoing need for people to find it, at the same grade of volume, I think a smaller sign still does that.
All right. So, Mr. McGill, it sounds like on this board there is some resistance to your larger sign. I'm not sure you can maybe come back in 2 weeks with a redesign that might be more appealing.
Yeah, we can definitely take a look at the measurements of the sign and come back with maybe a proposed smaller sign. We would just like to bring to your attention that it may look a little more awkward or maybe like less professional if the sign were any smaller, as you know, that space is kind of it's a very long horizontal space, and if we just have a small sign in the corner, it might look like it was unintentional or less professional than a larger sign that filled that space a little bit better. So, but if we need to come back with a proposed smaller sign, then that's what we need to do.
Great. And other sign cases we've had, sir, we'll have, one or two renderings so we could evaluate it. Just don't give it, I would recommend you just don't give us one. Because I
Okay.
heard Miss Otto say if we took out the bird, maybe kept the lettering the same, maybe that would be possible. So bring us back a couple. Do you need 2 weeks or 4 weeks for that, sir?
Actually, the gentleman helping with the sign is on the call. I believe 2 weeks would be
Yeah.
would be
That'd
sufficient.
be July 9?
July 9, yeah.
Okay. Board members, I entertain a motion to that effect unless you have further questions of Mr. McGill.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second, so we have a motion to continue this case to July 9th. We have by Ms. Otto, second by Mr. Meyer. Please call the roll.
Gorens,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. See you in a couple weeks, sir. Thank you.
Sounds good.
You ready for the next case?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sarah.
Docket item number 3 is case CD BZA 2025-71, a request to approve a variance to permit a shorter rear setback for a deck, plus any other needed variances in an R6 zoning district on about 0.2 acres, generally located at 12311 Oak Street. Stephanie Saldari is the staff planner for this case. If you are the applicant or a member of the public who would like to speak on this case online, please raise your hand. In person, please approach the microphone on the podium to be sworn in. I'm not seeing any hands online.
Mr. Casper?
Yeah,
maybe?
Brian Casper is
I
the,
don't see a Brian Casper and I don't see any Holtz. And there are no hands raised.
okay. They-
Okay.
We were in communication yesterday, but I guess we could go to 4.
We do have one phone number. If the phone number that begins or ends with 3159 is associated with this case, please press *9.
Hi, this is the court reporter. That is my backup line calling in.
Okay. Thank you. Then
Thank you,
there's
Mr.
no hands
Torrance.
raised, and I don't see the applicant online.
Right. Let's move that case to it later in the docket. And
Okay.
when Stephanie's with the next case, gosh, she's got a couple of them here, doesn't she?
Okay,
You could try
I
to
will call
text
docket
them or
item number
something.
4.
Yep.
It's case CD BZA 2025-72. A request to approve a variance to the lot and building standards to permit a smaller rear setback plus any other needed variances in an R6 zoning district on about 0.13 acres, generally located at 6737 Kenwood Avenue. If you are the applicant, I see Jack North online and Robert Hunter has raised his hand. We have some hands raised online. I'm going to promote Robert Hunter to panelist, Ryan Hunter to panelist, and Jack North to panelist. Anyone else who would like to speak on this case, please raise your hand online or approach the microphone on the podium to be sworn in.
Coming online? There they are.
Yes.
Hello.
Is that you? Hi, Mr. Hunter. And do we have anyone else, Sarah?
Yes, you have 2 Mr. Hunters, Ryan and Robert, and Jack North.
Okay. The 2 Hunters and Mr. North, could you please turn on your cameras and microphone to be sworn in? There you are. Anybody else, Sarah? I see 2 of them.
They're all 3 there.
Okay. Gentlemen, please raise your hand to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, nothing but the truth in this meeting today? If so, please state your name and address for the court reporter.
I do.
Name and
I
address.
can start. Jack North is my name. I reside at 2111 Erie Street, North Kansas City.
Go ahead. One of the hunters.
Hi, Rob Hunter. I'm the property owner at 6737 Kenwood.
And there's another hunter.
Ryan Hunter. I do 812B West 17th Street, Kansas City, Missouri. I'm with Hermanos Design, the architect.
Thank you, everyone. Who's speaking on the case today? Is Mr. North or one of the hunters?
I can.
Okay, that'd be Ryan Hunter,
Ryan
I think.
Hunter. Yeah.
Yep. Ryan, there's a list of administrative exhibits labeled 1 to 9 that we need to admit for your case today. Do you have any questions about those exhibits, and do we have your permission to admit them?
Yes, you can admit them.
Thank you. One of that is a presentation by Ms. Saldari on your case. Stephanie, please tell us about it.
All right, we got docket item number 4, CDBCA 2025-72, located on 6737 Kenwood Avenue, Zone R-6, and the applicant is seeking approval of a variance to the infill lot and building standards to permit a shorter rear setback for a proposed addition and to bring the existing building into compliance. All right, so the subject site is located down south here. Highlighted in yellow is the subject site. This is just a photo of what the house looks like right now. And then this is a view of the rear yard where the addition's gonna go. All right, so this is the site plan. I zoomed it in here, but there's gonna be, it's a 1-story addition to the back of the house to put in a new primary bedroom. I believe it has a bathroom, closet. And then this the floor plan and then a rendering of what that addition will look like. And then let me just, okay. So variance request A, so this will be the only variance. It's a variance of 13 feet and 1 inch to the infill lot and building standards to permit a rear setback of 8 feet and 11 inches on the subject site per submitted site plan. This is a 59% decrease. A substantial change to the character of the neighborhood is not anticipated. The building's existing rear setbacks are already out of compliance with the R-6 zoning district. And then a change in design would not obviate the need for variance. So I think I misspoke earlier when I said infill. This one is technically not infill. So this is the addition that's about a little over 12 feet away from the rear property line. But then we have these 2 corners here are technically closer to the rear property line than the addition. So this would be a legal non-conforming structure, but then the addition puts it out of compliance. So a variance is needed, like no matter what addition they do, the variance is needed. The rear setback line here at about 22 feet is pretty far back. So if they were to make an addition, it would have to go like to about here, and that would be like pretty small. There's not much you can do with that. So there's no hardship presented. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Saldari. Board members, any questions of Stephanie? So Stephanie, the house is out of compliance today, as built.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Ryan Hunter, why should we grant your request today, sir?
I think what we what we have here is, you know, a family who likes the neighborhood that they're in. It's a growing family that is running out of room, which I think we can all understand and appreciate, and need to build some additional space if they're to stay where they're at, and that's really their desire to stay in the neighborhood. However, they need to, as we've seen, add a primary bedroom on the ground floor, and the sort of the amenities that we've come to expect out of that, with the bathroom and closet and those sorts of things. So the addition really allows them to stay in this neighborhood at this house for a very long time. And again, that's sort of their desire. The hardship here really is the irregular shape of the lot. They're sort of on the arcing part of Kenwood. And as you see, the rear yard is very short on one side and then lengthens on the other, and establishes a really oddly shaped setback, which you know, we try to put as much of the addition into the yard that's available to address that, but it just flat out doesn't all fit in the setbacks that we have. So we're asking for you know, this primary bedroom addition that again helps them stay where they're at, the family stay where they're at for the foreseeable future, and kind of provide the amenities to the house that we've come to expect.
Thank you, Ryan. Board members, any questions? Any neighborhood comments, by the way, sir? Mr. Ryan or Rob or Jack, anybody? Anyone?
That was my question too, Mr. Ebbes.
Thank you.
Are the neighbors on either side of this proposed addition, have they voiced any concerns when you described it to them?
I don't know of any concerns. And I know I don't know if Rob's still on or traveling at this point, but he might be able to speak to that.
Rob Hunter, do you have any comments? Are you offline now?
Looks like he's trying to rejoin. If give him just a minute.
Sure.
He's back.
Sorry, yeah, I dropped off. I'm actually in California at the moment, so apologies for the. We have talked to the neighbors. No one's voiced any concerns. I think they're generally happy that we would want to stay long term. You know, there's some houses with additions in their backyard already. They don't have as unusual of lot size as what we have, but I would say the feedback we've heard from the neighbors is quite positive.
Looks like a nice design to me, so, yeah. Board members, any other questions, comments?
I can make
Go ahead.
I can make a motion on docket number 4, case number 72. I move that we approve the variance requests in accordance to the site plan and staff report.
Thank you. I have a motion by Ms. Wright. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gorens.
Gorens,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. Your project is approved. Good luck with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Call the next case.
Well, I believe we have Brian Casper online now. If you'd like to go back to docket item number 3.
Sure.
CDBZA 2025-71, a request to approve a variance to permit a shorter rear setback for a deck, plus any other needed variances in an R6 zoning district on about 0.2 acres, generally located at 12311 Oak Street. If you are the applicant or a member of the public who would like to speak on this case, please raise your hand online. I assume Brian's iPad is Brian Casper. But
Brian, is that you? Brian Casper?
You'd please raise your hand.
Would you be promoted?
Go ahead and promote him. We'll find out.
You there? Can't see him yet. Hey, Brian, turn on your camera and microphone once you've clicked OK to be promoted.
And anyone else who would like to speak on this case, if you would raise your hand online or approach the microphone on the podium to be sworn in.
See him now. Anyone else that you're seeing?
No other hands are raised online.
Great. Hey, Brian, camera and microphone on. I see your camera. Please
Yes,
raise
sir.
your right hand. Please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this meeting today? If you agree, say I do, and your name and address, please.
I do. Brian Casper, 12219 Locust Street.
Great. Brian, there's a list of administrative exhibits to admit for your case today. They're labeled 1 to 9. Do we have your permission to admit them?
Yes.
And do you have any questions on those also, sir? They're standard exhibits, but do you have any
No.
questions? Okay, great. Those are admitted, and part of that is a presentation by Ms. Salderi. Stephanie, please tell us about the case.
All right, we got docket item number 3, CD BCA 2025-71, located on 12311 Oak Street, zone R-6, and the applicant is seeking approval of a variance to the setbacks for decks to permit a shorter rear setback. Oh, I think I mistyped that, but it's just to permit a shorter setback for a deck. All right, so the subject site is located all the way here west of Grandview. Highlighted in yellow is the subject site, and the deck would go back here. So this is the site plan. Highlighted in yellow is the proposed deck. So right now there is an existing deck that goes up to this line right here. That is it's on the ground floor, and the proposed deck would be this square over here that would be access from the second floor, and it will have stairs going down to that floor. To the ground deck. This is the home. This is the home from the side, and then from the back, this is the neighbor's deck. I have another picture kind of showing the existing deck. So this is what's existing right now. So this top part would be extended. And so for our variance request, it's a variance of 4.1 feet to the features allowed to encroach onto the rear setback to permit a rear setback of 15.9 feet on the subject site per approved site plan. This is a 20% decrease. A change to the character of the neighborhood is not anticipated. There is a nearby house with a deck encroaching on the rear setback that has an approved variance. And after further investigation, there are several actually. And could the difficulty be obviated by a change in design? So the proposed upper deck is to accommodate the limited mobility for some of the residents of this house. But the deck could be reduced a little bit in size to meet that rear setback. And then this is just the properties in green are the ones who have an approved variance to the rear setback for their deck. And that concludes my presentation.
All right. Any questions of staff, board members? Hearing none. Mr. Casper, why should we approve your request today, sir?
The homeowner and her daughter both have knee problems and they can't go up and down stairs. So they were wanting something off the, first floor of their house, but second floor in the back. So the wife and daughter could come out and enjoy the outside, sit on the back deck, have dinner, whatever. And that's why I'm requesting a variance.
And sir, any neighborhood comments, either positive or negative on this request?
No, we haven't had any. We walked around and talked to the neighbors on both sides, and all that, and nobody had a problem with it.
Okay. Board members, questions of Mr. Casper?
I have a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Otto.
On case number 71, I move that the board grant the request for variance in accord with the staff report and site plans.
I have a motion from Ms. Otto. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Meyer.
Gorence,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. Your project is approved, Mr. Casper. Good luck with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Sarah, we're going to pause this part of the meeting for right now. We're going to lose Mr. Meyer here in a few minutes, and it looks like we'll be done before he comes back. So I'd like to do, conditions A and B, which was to elect BZA chair and vice chair, and also discuss the attendance at upcoming meetings for our normal August break. So with that in mind, we'll kind of pause that part of it. And board members, we've delayed this for a couple months now, but according to our bylaws, we need to elect a chair and vice chair.
Mr. Chair, I would like to comment for
Right.
the chair. We have a chair that has been very thorough and keeping the meeting moving. With that said, I would like to request that we pick you back another year or 2 or 5 or whatever.
It's yearly.
Okay, so I would like to see you stay.
Thank you for that nomination. We don't need a second, I don't think. Do we have other nominations perhaps?
Casper over here.
Yeah, that's where the friendly ghost. It's been my pleasure to serve as your chair the last couple of years. I took over from a very capable chair, Ms. Otto. That's all I can say is that. So I'm pleased to serve as your chair, and I'm pleased with your nomination. So, but the floor is still open for further nominations. Hearing none.
I think Tom should make a motion. It should be seconded, and you guys could vote on it.
Oh.
If his motion is to elect you as chair.
I would like to make a notion to nominate our chair that we have now and keep him. And
We have a second?
Second.
Please call the roll, and then we'll do the vice chair. Thank you.
Uh,
Or do we need to call the roll?
Yes, you need to vote on it.
Okay.
So Mr. Gorence,
aye.
Ms. Otto,
Aye.
Ms. Wright,
Aye.
Mr. Meyer,
Aye.
Mr. Ventura,
Aye.
Mr.
Thank you.
Ebbets.
I'm not voting for myself. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're not?
Thank you for that acclamation. I really do appreciate it. But now we have to pick a vice chair. So
Yeah, I would like to nominate Ms. Otto as vice chair.
Second.
second, we have a nomination from Ms. Wright, a second by Mr. Meyer for Ms. Otto to be the vice chair.
Mr. Gorence,
Aye.
Ms. Otto,
Aye.
Ms. Wright,
Aye.
Mr. Meyer,
Aye.
Mr. Ventura,
Aye.
Mr. Ebbets.
A strong aye. Thank you very much. All right. Let's go. And now our next point of business is, and congratulations, Teresa. Thank you very much for assisting me. Our next piece of business is to pick a holiday. Back in the olden days, when we had 2 meetings a month, we would pick a weekend, typically in August. We call that our vacation day. And we also picked one in December as well. This year,
This year, the second Wednesday of December falls on December 24th. And the second Wednesday, or fourth Wednesday, I'm sorry, your second meeting, fourth Wednesday. Fourth Wednesday of November is the day before Thanksgiving, November 26th. So we would appreciate a motion if you would like to remove those meeting dates from your calendar. And then I don't know if you want to discuss August separately.
Definitely December, those two dates should be removed from the calendar for the 2025. And again, that's December 24th and November 26th. In addition, as we've done in the past, unless staff has issues, normally we would take off August 27, which is the fourth Wednesday in August. Does staff have concerns about that?
We do not. I would just note for your information that the application deadline for the second meeting in August would be July 25th. So we have not received applications for that date at this point. It's
Right.
far enough out.
We can let them know.
Ms. Otto, what's your comments on those on August 27?
I think that makes sense as long as we're not backed up in terms of applications that we would need that extra day since we are losing 2 days toward the end of the year. So I'm fine if the staff tells us we have sufficient time to cover what's out there.
I believe you would.
So we're okay for that, right? All right. So do we need a motion to that effect?
Yes.
Okay. So
Make a motion.
yeah, thank you. That's right.
I'll make a motion to remove the following dates from our schedule. August 27th, December 24th, and November 26th.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Mr. Gorens.
Gorens,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Ventura,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. Those are removed. We're now going to take our normal break and we will be back here in 15 minutes. Please note that Mr. Meyer has the other meeting, so we'll lose him, but we've got our capable member, Mr. Ventura, who will be in charge. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back in 15 minutes. Thank you. All right. We normally do 15.
15 minutes, 10 till.
Recording paused.
And Smoke was my favorite funny character. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'll do it right.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Welcome back to, after our break, to the Board of Zoning Adjustment for June 22nd. Call the next case, Sarah, when you get a chance.
Yes. Docket item number 7 is case CD BZA 2025-78, a request to approve a special exception to permit a 6-foot fence on a residential corner lot in an R5 zoning district, plus any additional variances on about 0.17 acres, generally located at 246 East 73rd Street. Stephanie Saldari is the staff planner for this case. If you are the applicant, and I see the applicant's hand raised online, or a member of the public who would like to speak on this case, please raise your hand online or approach the microphone on the podium to be sworn in. So we have online Nicholas Shermer, the applicant.
Right. You see
Good
other
morning.
hands? Good morning, Nicholas. Do you
We
see other
do
hands
not
raised?
have any other hands raised online.
All right, Nicholas, good morning to you. Please raise your right hand to be sworn. Wait, I don't see yet. Sorry.
He's there.
Is he there? Do
Yeah.
you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this meeting today?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the court reporter.
Nicholas Shermer, and I live at 246 East 73rd Street, Kansas City, Missouri, 64114.
Great. There are a list of administrative exhibits labeled 1 to 10 that we need to admit to hear your case today. First of all, do you have any questions on those exhibits?
I do not.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
so as of yesterday, there are 11 exhibits. The 11th is Nicholas's presentation for today.
Okay, great. That will be admitted as 11 exhibits. And thank you, Nicholas, for allowing us to do that, or Nick. Part of that is a presentation by Ms. Saldari. Stephanie, please tell us about the case.
All right. Okay, there we go. Okay, we got docket item number 7, CD BCA 2025-78, located on 246 East 73rd Street, Zone R-5. And the applicant is seeking an approval for a special exception to permit a 6-foot fence in the street side yard of the subject site. All right, so the site is located here in the Waldo neighborhood. Highlighted in yellow is the site. So it's on 73rd and Oak Street. The fence is on the Oak Street side. And then I just wanted to bring it up to your attention. So fences are under Chapter 27 and not Chapter 88, but we still do these special exceptions for them. But Chapter 27 does define street side yards differently than Chapter 88. Chapter 88 defines a street side yard to be the whole side facing the street, while Chapter 27 defines the street side yard to be the whole side up to where the building ends. So it would go to about here, and then the rest is a rear yard. So I just wanted you to know those differences. So if you vote, you're voting on a portion of a fence, not the whole side. Okay, so this is the site plan. So the red is that fence. Here is a picture of the house as it stands today with that fence on the side there. This is also a picture from Google Street View, what was there prior to the newly built fence. My cursor, okay. And then these are just more pictures of that new fence on the side and what it looks like from inside the backyard. And then just more pictures for context. And then so we have a special exception request of 2 feet to the permitted height of a fence to permit a 6-foot fence on the street side yard on the subject site. This is a 50% increase. So will this change the character of the neighborhood? Some of the nearby houses do seem to have a 6-foot fence in their front or street side yards. However, to staff's knowledge, these fences do not have an approved special exception. And then the fence could be reduced to 4 feet to meet the requirements. And that concludes my presentation.
Any questions of Ms. Salderi from staff or from board members?
Yeah, I want to get.
Go
can
ahead.
you go back and show these, the side, it's on the side only, right?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so
The wrought iron's gonna stay up or that,
no, so that's what was there.
That's what-
And then it was
that's okay.
replaced with the wood fence.
but where's the house?
So this is the house over here. This is the backyard of the house.
Okay.
This is, where'd it go? From the front. This is the front of the house, and you can see the fence, the wood fence.
Per the definition in chapter 27, this fence is in the side and the rear yard.
Yes, so from this line to this line is the street side yard per chapter 27, and then this side here is the rear yard. The rest is considered the rear yard. So I guess we're looking at just this section right here.
All right. Nick, why should we approve your request today, sir?
Yeah, no, excellent question. And thank you, Stephanie. Do you mind if I share my screen and kind of give my presentation?
Yes.
Go ahead, and that's already been admitted as Exhibit 11, just to let you know. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, 1 second while I share my screen here. If you could let me know if that comes through correctly.
Not yet.
Right.
Okay.
There you go.
Perfect. All right. All right, there we go. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Nick Shermer, and I live at 246 East 73rd Street in the Waldo Tower neighborhood. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment to thank both Stephanie and Connor for their assistance and guidance throughout this process. I feel very fortunate to live in a neighborhood and home with such wonderful historic character, and I'd like to share why I believe this request for a special exception is a necessary and responsible request that aligns with the city's criteria for a special exception. My request is based on 2 key factors: the safety of the property and the unique physical layout of the property. Personal belongings have been stolen directly out of our backyard. Delivered packages have been taken directly off of our front steps in broad daylight. These events have occurred even with ADT security cameras, full monitoring, yard signage, motion activated not cameras, but floodlights installed on the property as well. However, these thefts have continued to occur. So without a physical barrier, these other measures aren't enough to provide a basic sense of security and respect for the property. These experiences aren't just happening in a vacuum either, and aren't just my own personal anecdotal experiences. The president of the Waldo Tower Neighborhood Association, Angie Lyle, issued a formal statement on April 26th, approximately 2 months ago, almost to the date, validating what I and my neighbors are feeling. The statement confirms a significant increase in property crimes, including recent incidents that have escalated to violence and gunfire. The formal statement also speaks to the deep frustration with delayed police response to 911 calls due to staffing shortages. The other key factor for requesting the special exception is the unique layout of our lot. The back and side yard sits approximately 2 feet higher than the public sidewalk, supported by a stone retaining wall that you can see pictured here. Additionally, a 55-year-old river birch tree is growing directly behind this wall, making it risky to excavate for those fence posts without potentially critically damaging the tree or even killing it. Therefore, the fence was placed nearer the sidewalk, but at that level, a standard 4-foot fence would in fact only stand approximately 2 feet tall from our backyard's perspective. We wanted to ensure that this fence would not adversely affect our neighborhood and would be supported by our neighbors. To that end, we have a notarized letter of support from our neighbor to the north, northern contiguous lot, Mr. Brad Allen. As you can see on the screen, he states, "To whom it may concern, I support my neighbors Nick Shermer and Nick Halsey in their construction of a privacy fence on their property at 246 East 73rd Street, Kansas City, Missouri. They are excellent neighbors and are doing many good things to maintain or improve their lot. They researched similarly styled fences in the neighborhood and found many examples. I believe that their fence will prove to be a long-term benefit to them without deterring from the integrity of the Waldo Tower neighborhood." Furthermore, our neighbor to the west, or rather that western contiguous lot, also supports the fence as it matches and completes the existing 6-foot cedar privacy fence that already exists in their backyard. Finally, to ensure the fence would not negatively impact the neighborhood or deter from its character, we chose a wood and cedar fence because this style and height of cedar fence is very common in our neighborhood. The fences pictured here are examples of fences on yards facing Oak Street, similar to our scenario, that are within 3 blocks of my house. And just to call out, there are many more examples of these types of fences lining Oak Street, but I did want to keep these photos just to within a 3-block radius, so weren't cherry picking or anything like that. The warmth and natural grain of the natural cedar wood used for the fence complements the home's character very well, particularly the half timbering designs present on the exterior of the home. I do not believe the existing fence was more compatible than a wooden fence for a few reasons. First, as a point of clarity, the existing fence was not wrought iron. It was black hollow aluminum fencing that was intended to look like wrought iron. Second, as previously noted, the half timbering designs are a key distinguishing feature of these Tudor homes, which is why wooden fences complement them so well and is further evidenced by the numerous wooden fences accompanying Tudor homes in the neighborhood. And then just as one more example, when it came time to address our home's original drafty windows, I didn't replace them. Doing so would have meant losing the unique wavy glass character that gives the house so much of its initial original character from when it was built in 1931. Instead, I invested in custom-made window inserts to maintain the house's original character while improving the energy efficiency of the home. To conclude, my request stems from a genuine need for security and the unique physical constraints of our property. It's a fence that is fully supported by our neighbors, is designed to be visually cohesive, and fits perfectly within our commitment to honoring the historic nature of our home. For all these reasons, I believe this request meets the city's criteria for a special exception in both spirit and substance. I respectfully ask for your approval of this special exception. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick, for that presentation. I understand your concerns for the privacy and the safety concerns. Sometimes a solid fence, to me, just me personally, is not as appealing as something with spacing between the slats, or as you had before, fake wrought iron, if you want me to call it that, than what you had before. But I do understand the particular concerns of you and your family for this home. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
And the fence got built. Did you build the fence, or how did it get built without a permit? Just curious.
No, wonderful question. So this is a bit of a scenario of asking for forgiveness rather than permission. And I want to make clear, ignorance is no excuse by any means. So I want to make that very clear. But when kind of deciding to put up a fence to kind of deal with the concerns of safety, we noticed that essentially most houses in our neighborhood, especially those on Oak, do have 6-foot tall privacy fences. So again, ignorance is no excuse, but I just did not believe that there were essentially rules preventing 6-foot fences on corner lots, just given their prevalence in the neighborhood. But no, to your point, this is requesting a bit of a retroactive approval for a fence that was professionally installed by a company.
So the company didn't tell you what the rules were in case you out?
They did not, unfortunately.
Yep. And I forgot to mention in my presentation, the reason this case is before us today is because it was reported anonymously by a neighbor.
Okay.
I think you mentioned that there were other,
Sorry.
I think that you mentioned that there were other fences in the area and there's photos. The report that you're referencing, that was the anonymous report for this fence. Are there reports for any of the other fences in the neighborhood?
I didn't see reports for those, at least not open cases. And yeah, no special exceptions or open cases for those fences.
So those are cases that this board will now have to deal with because we're knowledgeable of those.
Could be a possibility someone reports those.
Well, haven't they been reported? We're seeing them today.
The other ones, yeah, they haven't come to.
Mr. Duddy, would you like to speak to that?
If those cases are reported and now that they are brought to our attention, they will be investigated and they will be inspected and dealt in the manner that goes along with 88 or Chapter 27.
Thank you. I guess my question for you, sir, is that why did that front corner of the house have to be enclosed? Was there not a way to put a back fence that would start more at the rear of the house? I understand the tree, but could there have been some sort of gating at that point?
No, and that's a fair question. And I believe in Stephanie's original presentation, it kind of showed like that initial fence and how it did jut in actually. And one of the issues that was presented because of that is the entire side yard of our house, like where basically where that fence cut in initially up to the front of the house was entirely exposed to the sidewalk. And that's normally not a problem, except for that's where we had the thing stolen from our home. We've had an extension ladder stolen. We've had just like an actual like hose, like I guess kind of like I don't know, containing kind of like, you know, you reel it up, you have a hose container on the side of your house. We have like tools stolen. So like that was completely exposed. We've also had incidents of like beer cans and bottles kind of discarded in our yard. So that was really the, I guess, kind of spirit of putting that fence further up along the house, just to kind of provide that security and privacy that had been violated.
Is the porch on the side of your house open or is it screened in? I'm just trying, I'm not sure.
Fair. Right. No, it is a screened in porch.
Okay.
Granted, it's pretty old, but it is a screened in porch.
And Nick, could you unshare your screen, please?
Oh, yeah. My apologies.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know, I'm one board member. We always struggle with these fence cases again. And unfortunately, I think the applicant has shown us some other violations that this board unfortunately will have to deal with too. It looks like there's been a process of putting too tall fences in these yards that shouldn't be there, so.
And even if you, Teresa, as I recall, you're more familiar than I am sometimes, but even if he brought the side fence back towards the rear of the house, he still needs an exemption because it fronts Oak Street. Yes? Am I right about that?
I don't think in this case, right, because this is the side yard and the rear yard. So I think if I understand what the presentation was, is that the only area of this one that's in question is the piece that is adjacent to the house on the front, and then it goes back to the rear of the house. So it's where it's that just that L
Yeah.
shape. Is that correct?
Yeah, so just that L shape from here where this white square is to this orange line is what chapter 27 defines as the street side yard and states that it can only be up to 4 feet high, and then the rest can stay up to 6 feet.
The rear line of the building back is considered the rear yard for the
Right.
purposes of chapter 27. And so in the rear yard, the fence can be 6 feet high.
in this case, Mr. Ebbets, the side yard is the side yard and not the front yard. We
Right.
sometimes do that on corner lots. I think that's what you're recalling. But in this case, it is considered the side yard based on dimension, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then chapter 88 defines the street side yard as the whole side on the street side, but because this is under chapter 27's jurisdiction, we have to go with their
It's a
definition.
little different.
Yeah, they don't quite match up.
Do you enter your garage off Oak Street, sir?
Correct, yes. I'm sorry, was the question, do I enter my garage off Oak Street?
Yeah, yes.
Correct, yes, I do. And as you pointed out, our garage is behind our home. It's I guess kind of on that furthest northern point on the lot. The actual driveway next to our lot on the west is our neighbors.
Oh, yeah, here's that garage.
As Ms. Otto said, fence cases are always touchy.
No, and I absolutely appreciate that.
The concern, but your safety concerns are well noted too. Just as you know, a couple weeks ago at Gregory and Walnut, there was a shooting. So, which isn't very far from you.
No, it's not, and I don't like want to sound hyperbolic, but we hear gunshots pretty regularly, like at night, like it's not just like anecdotal, like at our most recent tower homes, like neighbor association, like the police came and like really helped like walk through just what are the proper processes when you hear like we still need to report. They're kind of just like reminding us because it is top of mind. Like, and as we pointed out, like just 2 months ago, like our president put out and like it wasn't just a statement kind of formally acknowledging the crime. It actually went to like the state of Missouri and the Kansas City like members, I guess Kansas City government members, kind of calling for greater accountability and action just because we've continued to see crime increase so much in our neighborhood over the past couple of years.
Right.
And calling for a greater accountability, I suppose.
I know in previous cases like this, we have asked for a redesign for spacing. But I think in other similar cases too, I've seen where we recommended, he already has a retaining wall there. If he wants that privacy, can he do a redesign of just putting the 4 feet on top of the retaining wall, giving him the 6 feet? Is that an option?
When a fence is on top of a retaining wall, we measure from the top of the retaining wall if it is holding back earth. So it would be measured from the retaining wall height is not included in the fence height.
Got it. Oh, I don't know. I didn't see in the picture if it was holding back dirt.
Did you hear that?
It
Nick?
is, and I did hear that. And so the retaining wall is holding back the earth. It is like the gradient, and you can kind of see it even just like by the design of the fence, how it kind of like curves down, I guess, like from like the point of the house almost to like the side yard where it cuts down oak. Like there is a gradient that like the house sits on top, and so like there is a retaining wall that holds back earth. And so one of the reasons we didn't want to or I guess going back even further, the issue with the initial wall was that it was not well maintained, or the original fence was that it was not well maintained. And like, and when I say not well maintained, like those aluminum, like iron, or not aluminum iron, the aluminum fence posts had eroded or were just coming out of that limestone wall. They were not fastly secured. So when we purchased the home, essentially like a workaround had been to pour concrete on top of the wall, which just caused further damage to that limestone wall. And so initially, like when it was initially, I guess, cast into that retaining wall. But again, because we wanted to essentially provide that additional security for the front portion of the house as well. I'm not sure if you can see it in the photos that were included in the report, but there is a piece of like cement slab that essentially cuts in, or that's where like the fence cuts in. And this was there before we got there, but I assume that was there to provide like a safer kind of like casting area for those fence posts to avoid the tree root system, because there's not just the river birch there. There's also a series of 3 trees almost directly behind it, right up against the screen portion of the house that we also wanted to avoid, which is kind of why like we extended it further out and wanted to avoid those.
I have a question about the rear of the fence, looking at a photograph, part of the staff plan. It looks like that rear line of the fence comes up at an angle and it gets higher as it goes to Oak Street. Is that actually placed on a retaining wall? Why is that not at a straight level?
No, it is not. I think that might just be the way the design level. We actually should have photos, I thought, of that back wall, but it's on the same level, I guess. But so the back wall, as it sits, so like coming from the garage to Oak, it sits like flat on the ground. It's not on the retaining wall. And then it drops off, or it sits kind of at like a step, basically because of that drop for the retaining wall that exists between, or I should say, the gap that exists between the retaining wall, like the top of that retaining wall, and then the side street or the sidewalk.
It just looks like it's about a foot or two taller than the rest of the fence. That's why I don't understand how that's constructed.
Oh, I guess maybe I don't understand the question, so I apologize.
I don't know how to share my screen to show you.
That's fair.
But I think it's she's looking at page 7 of the staff report.
Thank you, Gonzalo.
There's these two photos, 7 and 8, that are of the rear back corner.
Yeah, it just doesn't, I can't understand the configuration and why that fence is so much taller on one end.
Oh, I think that was just for so that's the 6 foot tall fence. Like that's a 6 foot tall fence at the side or the backyard. And then the rest of the fence is also 6 foot, but that gap you're kind of perceiving as to why it looks taller is because of that, like, I guess, step down from the retaining wall, like the backyard to the side step. The entire fence is 6 feet tall. The reason that perceived difference exists is because of that gradient difference.
I see. So you put a couple, I see. So that's the stone wall that's coming along Oak Street and you just built on top of it.
Correct. It built like we didn't build like on it per se. It's not like set on top of that back retaining wall. The posts are set essentially like right alongside it and run like along the wall, but it's not like set on top of it. I think we cut some of the boards to essentially sit on top of the wall, try to maintain some of that, but I guess like that difference between like it is entirely 6 foot fence, but the difference, I guess, why it's not uniform to your point is because like the fence along Oak would essentially have to be 8 feet tall to match that.
I understand that backyard. It's the yard is higher at that point. So I understand why
Correct.
it looks taller. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to like the unique topography and like the gradient of the lot is a little bit unique, and the retaining wall like does essentially, like the house sits at the tallest point like of the lot, and then everything like the gradient goes away from the house, as most do, but like it's pretty pronounced in certain areas.
Well, lots of questions for you, Nick.
No, and they're fair, so I appreciate them.
I'm just one board member, but I think it would be more beneficial if we give them an opportunity for a redesign. Because I think that sloping thing could be corrected if he just pulls the fence back, and put it back on top of the retaining wall and do more of a privacy style, where he doesn't have the wrought iron and he may not have to come back to us, because we know we're going to get 4 more of these cases. And if we move forward with this design, we're going to have to approve the other 4 too. And some of them, the other 4, as I saw, are sitting on top of retaining wall. So we're approving 6 feet on top of a retaining wall, which is 8 almost.
I guess my only concern, if I'm allowed to speak to that. Sorry.
Sure.
Oh, my only concern with that, and the reason we didn't build it on top of the wall, so it's kind of like twofold. One was we wanted to protect and provide this privacy and safety for that front part of the house that wasn't previously like fenced. And so in order to extend that fence down, to actually provide that enclosure, if we were to do it on the retaining wall, and this was like at the kind of guidance and advice of like the company, the fencing company that placed us in, those fence posts, the 4x4 cedar posts, they're trying to excavate those and put those in the ground, was going to be dangerously close to that root system of that very old birch. And so we wanted to avoid that. And that was ultimately the reason for kind of setting it down. But I understand your point, absolutely. I just wanted to kind of point out why, I guess, we didn't build on top of that retaining wall.
Well, Nick, I'm sensing with comments from the board that perhaps you need to pause this case for a month or so and consider redesign. The solid part of the fence bothers me a lot. Other board members are saying that just the 6 foot in its height is bothersome. So I feel like maybe you take some time. Now that we will be aware of these other cases coming before us, and if we approve yours, sir, it kind of ties our hand to approve the others. And they will say, well, why did you approve Nick's case when you're not approving ours? So that's what I'm saying, that perhaps a redesign, and Ms. Wright's correct, you set your fence on top of the retaining wall. It can be 4 feet plus the retaining wall, and you're still getting your 6 foot. And you
And
can
so
have
and that's fair. No, I was just going to say, I do have a quick question. So it being an anonymous tip was news to me. I didn't realize that. And realizing that it was, I guess, kind of at odds. And I find it odd that we're the only fence in the neighborhood to like have this report being made. I don't know. We've put a pride flag up in our yard like this a month for June, obviously. I don't think it's a coincidence. We've had some glass bottles smashed in our side yard as well. So I don't like discussing this, but that is a large consideration for a lot of like the privacy and security for my family.
Right. Understood. So Nick, you've got 2 choices. One is to think about this, come back to us in a month or so, or we can vote on it today. That will be your decision, not ours.
No, and that's fair. I would request that we vote on it today. If that's acceptable.
The board will vote if you wish us to.
No, right. That's fair. I guess, so in terms of like a redesign, I'm trying to like, because the fence is already there. So like, would a redesign entail essentially just like getting a new fence? I'm not sure.
Nick, let me offer this since I've been on this board a long time.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah.
And I've been back and we've had some tough cases. And I know this is always hard. And we appreciate security issues and we take those into account. So for example, you could keep potentially, I don't know what the board would do, but if you changed out the front of this fence and, where it has to be 4 feet, and even put wrought iron at that location and changed it and left it at 6 feet, the board might consider that because that opens it up, right? There's things we look at.
Excuse me, Teresa.
I'm sorry.
Hey, I'm so sorry. Zoom actually just died in the room, so nobody can hear you inside the room. I didn't want you to have to continue talking to an empty audience, so we're fixing it right now. I'm so sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Not yet. I'm sorry, we're still working on it.
Can you hear me now? Test 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Nick, can you hear me?
I can hear it. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. They're trying to ask us to test. They're sending me some.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah, you and I can hear each other.
Right.
They can't hear us.
Fun. All right. So
Yeah, yeah, so we have to keep it's a public record, so just bear with us.
gotcha. Oh, no, it's fair.
I wish I was there in person today, but
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So I'm gonna leave it and get back up. But we may want to, on that computer and that, just make a slide on the parental screen. Make a slide saying we are doing we'll be back on that.
Nick, it's gonna be about 5 minutes, they said.
Okay. No, that's fair. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Poor guys. Potty break. Perfect.
Gotta be good news.
Teresa, can you hear us online?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
We're back.
Technical difficulties.
Yes, but I think we're back in business.
Okay, well, tell us when we're ready.
Not quite. Is Nick still on? Nick, you still with us?
Yeah, Nick's on. Nick and I could hear each other. We could have, but we didn't. We just, we held our comments.
Good. Okay, we're back on. So, my last comment before I was cut off was talking about Nick. Do you want to think about this for a couple of weeks, come back before us? Or do you want to vote on it today?
No, I think I want to take a few weeks just to kind of think about it and see. And so for my own clarity and understanding, I guess like it sounds the essentially the piece of fence that's in violation is essentially from like almost like that side, almost where it cuts in, kind of like where that cement slab is at. And so anything from that cement slab to the front, or I guess the southernmost part of the house is what's in violation. Is that the correct understanding?
Stephanie?
I'm not sure exactly where the cement slab is, but yeah, pretty much anything from the front wall to the rear wall of your house.
Okay.
Did you hear that, Nick? From the
I
front
did, yep.
wall to the rear wall. Okay.
Correct. And that lines up pretty well with that front and rear wall. So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so that's the piece that needs to essentially be brought down to 4 foot, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and
Okay.
we
Be
can,
in, to be in compliance, yes, sir.
Okay.
and
And I
we
get,
can,
go ahead, Stephanie, sorry.
sorry, I was gonna say we can talk more about it after the hearing, about like options and things like that.
Okay. Nope, sounds good to me. So yeah, I would request a few weeks' time to come up with a new plan and then present to the board again.
July 9 or July 23rd, sir?
23rd, please.
Okay.
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
Because if he's going to do a redesign, can you remind me, is the fence set back far enough from the sidewalk, or is there an issue with that?
No, so fences can be put up to the property line. They don't have setbacks.
Okay, thank you.
All right, do you have a motion on that to continue the case to July 23rd?
I'll make a motion on docket number 7, case number 78. I move that we continue this case until July 23rd.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Miss Otto.
Gorens,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Ventura,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. We'll see you July 23rd, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Docket item number 8 is case CD BZA 2025-44, a request to approve a variance to the number of units permitted per lot area to permit a 2-unit house on the subject site, plus any other needed variances in an R 2.5 zoning district on about 0.1 acres generally located at 4111 McGee Street. Stephanie Saldari is the staff planner for this case. If you are the applicant or a member of the public who would like to speak on this case, please raise your hand online or approach the microphone on the podium to be sworn in. I don't see Brian Driscoll online. We're not doing well with Brian's today.
Yeah. All the Brians are not showing up. Brian, if you're in the virtual audience, please raise your hand in Zoom.
We do not have the applicant.
Okay.
Would you like to move on to the
I
next
would.
case? Okay. The next 9, 10, and 11 are all companion cases, so I will call all 3 of these together. So docket item number 9 is case CD BZA 2025-60, a request to approve a variance to the minimum lot area to permit an additional unit in an existing residential structure on about 0.074 acres generally located at 516 West 39th Terrace. Docket item number 10 is case CD BZA 2025-69, a request to approve a variance to the minimum lot area to permit an additional unit in an existing residential structure on about 0.078 acres generally located at 520 West 39th Terrace. And docket item number 11 is case CD BZA 2025-70, a request to approve a variance to the minimum lot area to permit an additional unit in an existing residential structure on about 0.078 acres generally located at 526 West 39th Terrace. The applicant is online. If you are a member of the public who would like to speak to this case, please raise your hand online or approach the microphone on the podium to be sworn in. So we have Tom Stiller online, who is the applicant.
Okay.
And there are no other hands raised online.
Hello, Mr. Stiller. Could you raise your right hand to be sworn?
Yes, and they're the property owner has been waiting and he's looking to join any second, but if you'd like to swear me in now, I'm good.
Okay. Raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this meeting today?
I do.
And as usual, name and address, please, Tom.
Tom Stiller, located at 115 West 18th Street, Kansas City, Missouri, 64108.
Great.
We need the property owner present on this case in order to proceed, because we don't have a consent form. I assume the property owner is not Gregory Burns.
No, that's right. It's, we're looking for Juan Tobin.
Okay, he
Just let me
just
know.
joined.
Okay, it dropped him and he's trying again.
Yeah,
He's being promoted to panelist.
There we go.
Mr. Tobin, have you got your camera and microphone on?
He needs to accept the promotion to panelist. There we go. Mr. Tobin, if you could turn on your camera and microphone to be sworn in.
I think I see him. I just don't hear him. I don't.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Sir, please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this meeting today?
Yes, I do.
And please state your name and address for the court reporter.
My name is Juan Tobin, and the business address is 11709 Rowe Avenue in Leawood, Kansas.
Thank you, sir. Is Mr. Stiller going to be speaking on your behalf today?
Yes, sir. Please.
A little bit of both.
Okay, great. Mr. Stiller, there's a list of administrative exhibits labeled 1 to 9 that we need to admit for your case today. Do we have your permission to do that?
No objection.
Thank you. Part of that is a presentation by Mr. Tomlin on your case. Connor, please tell us about it.
Okay, so we've got 3 different cases here. I'll go through each one. They're all very similar to each other. The first is docket 9, CDBZA 2025 60 at 516 West 39th Terrace in an R1.5 zoning district. Variance to the maximum number of units permitted within an existing residential structure within a residential zoning district. This is the general location of the site. A closer look at the site itself outlined in yellow. The site plan that was submitted, what is being proposed is an additional unit. So with that, the variance request is a variance of 1 unit to the maximum number of units permitted in a residential district to permit a total of 7 units on the subject site. The reason this is in front of you is due to lot area requirements. So the variance is 7279 square feet, or a 69% decrease from the requirement. A substantial change to the character of the neighborhood is not anticipated, as building expansion for this additional unit was not anticipated. And work, to my understanding, is expected to be contained inside of the structure. The difficulty cannot be obviated through a change of design due to the strict nature of lot area requirements. Moving on to docket 10, CDBZA 2025-69, 520 West 39th Terrace is the location, also within an R1.5 zoning district. The variance request is the same to the maximum number of units permitted within the existing structure. General location of the site, a closer look outlined in yellow. The associated site plan. Again, that variance request will be the same of 1 unit to the maximum number of units permitted in a residential zoning district to permit a total of 7 units on the subject site. That variance, as far as the lot area goes, is 7109 square feet, or a 67.7% decrease from the requirement. Again, a substantial change to the character of the neighborhood is not anticipated, as work is expected to be contained inside of the structure. The difficulty cannot be obviated through a change of design due to the strict nature of lot area requirements. Moving on to the final one, docket 11 is CDBZA 2025-70, 524 West 39th Terrace, again a R1.5 zoning district. Variance request to the maximum number of units permitted within this existing structure. The general location of the site outlined in yellow. The associated site plan. And the variance request is 1 unit to the maximum number of units permitted in a residential zoning district to permit a total of 7 units on the subject site. 7112 square feet is the variation to the lot area requirements. Again, a 67.7% decrease from the requirement. A substantial change to the character of the neighborhood is not anticipated, as this work is expected to be contained inside the structure, and the difficulty cannot be obviated through a change of design due to the strict nature of the lot area requirements. I am open to questions.
Thank you, Connor. Sarah, do we have any other interested parties on the case?
No, there were no other hands raised online.
And to just to be legal about all this, Mr. Stiller, there are 3 different cases. You allowed us to admit exhibits on 1 to 9 on case number 9, or docket number 9. Same question on docket 10 and 11. Do we have your permission to admit those exhibits?
Yes, no objection on 10 or 11.
Thank you, sir. Those are admitted. Board members, questions of Mr. Tomlin? Any negativity on this, Connor, that you saw from other people?
I have not received any testimony
All
at
right.
this time.
Thank you. Mr. Stiller, why should we grant your request today, sir?
We're looking at a quick little background. Mr. Tobin and I have worked together for many, many years, and he has purchased, renovated, and owns and operates a multitude of multifamily buildings in the Kansas City metropolitan area. He's become just expert at sorting out how to get these buildings, strip them down to the studs, replace mechanical, electrical, plumbing, roof, windows, paint, and reconfiguring the floor plans of these buildings. But our current economic times and our current times are much less predictable than in the past. Juan and I will go through a building in a matter of 15, 20 minutes. We can reconfigure a layout for a more contemporary way of living. We can go around the outside, sort out what needs to be done that's efficient and will work. This one has been quite the struggle because one, we just typically don't change our minds. We go through, we know what we're doing, we line it out. This one, we looked at it. We looked at the option of we could use financially another unit in these buildings. I looked into the basements, didn't see enough evidence to indicate that there were prior apartments down there, so we took that option off the table. That prompted us to apply for the variance to allow for another unit to make these financially viable. In that process, then we decided, while I got looking at it closer, decided, no, it's not going to work. Let's not do that. Let's just look at any other variances that might be necessary to remove variables from these 3 properties. And it took a little while to get there. And we're looking again, decided, oh, okay, no, the possibility it might be able to work financially to get the other units in the basement. So now we're back in. So we're looking to remove variables that didn't used to exist in a project of this nature. And by doing that, one, get height, area, lot area, and setbacks, a variance on those items. So we don't have that issue rising back up as other permits may need to be drawn on the properties. And in concert with that, looking at getting a 70 unit in the basement of each of these existing buildings.
All right.
And Juan, your rents are typically just a little bit below market. So safe to say that you're providing affordable housing a little bit tighter, a little bit less than a lot of the larger developments that happen and when they redo all these apartments.
That is correct. I mean, what we want to do in here is, not only improve the property, but to continue to provide it to the type of tenants that are already rented out. We are not intending to modify the rents drastically or anything like this. We believe that maybe with the addition of this additional unit, we can hit the numbers to operate in today's market, the interest rate and everything, and offer a product that is competitive for people that work in the area. Aside from, of course, improving the security and the safety by keeping the properties up to date.
All right.
I want to speak to the fact that I am familiar with Juan's buildings, past business developments before, and if he is adding this one unit, it is a make or break situation regarding the development of this property, and experiencing his work, and his ability to maintain affordability with quality. I would be in support of giving him this variance.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Wright. Mr.
Uh,
Tobin, I see palm trees. It's not fair that you're driving past palm trees in your car.
I have to point that out regularly.
There are palm trees and a lot of rain. Yes, sir. I'm with my family. They are in vacation.
Thank you for coming online with us today. Board members, any other questions or
Just a-
comments go ahead. Mr.
Sorry.
Otto, go ahead.
Just in terms of this 7th unit, how does that affect parking on the properties for tenants?
We struggled desperately until, I think it was even this morning, trying to sort that out. And I couldn't get it crystal clear how we stand there, but I believe I have it now. Well, we're looking at and relying upon 88-420-04-P, which is infill residential development parking standards. This being an infill project, and staff can confirm that we fit in that definition. 88-420-04-P states any infill residential development of 8 or fewer units is exempt from the minimum parking requirement. And we would like also to have staff confirm that that is the governing section of the zoning and development code for the off-street parking requirement of this development, because there's other sections that require different parking configurations. And we'd like to, again, so we can move forward with confidence, have it confirmed that this is the governing section of the zoning and development code for off-street parking for these properties.
And to be clear, Mr. Stiller, that was not part of the variances request today, just
No, I just wanted to read into the record that that's the governing ordinance. So as we go to get permits, they'll catch that more times than not, and it'll come back, and now we maybe have a different interpretation. We just want to have it in our documents. It's in the record. That's the governing ordinance. We go for permits. We can point that out. They can verify that, and we can move forward.
Can staff verify that?
That should be accurate.
Should. That's a slippery word.
Mr. Stiller, you caught
We-
that, didn't you?
Without an opportunity to spend more time on it, we don't see anything immediately that would cause us to disagree with Mr. Stiller. P that he references, 88-420-04P, does state any infill residential development of 8 or fewer units is exempt from the minimum parking requirements. This is identified as an infill lot on our map. So there may be something else that would trigger some other need, but we're not seeing it in our, 1-minute review.
Thank you, Ms. Copeland.
Yes, thank you.
I don't have any other questions, Mr. Ebbets.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Otto. Board members, if you want to do motions, if that's to your pleasure, we need one for each case.
I'll make a motion on, I'll do it all as one.
No, you got to do each case. Sorry.
Okay. In docket number 9, case number 60, I make a motion that we approve the variance according to the plans and staff report.
I have a motion by Ms. Wright. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second
Sorry.
from Mr. Gorens. Roll.
Gorens,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Ventura,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. That motion is approved. Next.
Docket number 10, case number 69, I make a motion that we approve the variance according to the plans and staff report.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Aye. I mean, second.
Second.
Gorens,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Ventura,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. That is approved. And Ms. Wright?
Docket number 11, case number 70. I move that we approve the variance according to the plans and staff report.
I have a motion on docket number 11. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gorens.
Gorens,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Ventura,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. Mr. Tobin and Mr. Stiller, those are approved. Thank you for coming before us. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, sir.
Chairman and
Thank
board
you.
members.
Next, Sarah.
Okay, docket item number 15 is case CD BZA 2025-59, a request to approve a variance to the accessory building standards to permit a detached garage on a through lot, plus any other needed variances in an R 7.5 zoning district on about 2.2 acres generally located at 8380 East 67th Street. Stephanie Saldari is the staff planner for this case. It appears that the applicant, Gregory Burns, is online, so I will promote him to panelist. If you are a member of the public who would like to speak on this case, if you would please raise your hand online or approach the microphone on the podium to be sworn in.
You guys in the audience, you in on this one? Come on up to the podium up here and I'll swear you in.
And in line.
It's all good. Come on. I like to swear everybody in at once, so come on up to the podium. Don't be scared. We won't bite. So everyone who wants to talk, raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth in this meeting today? Let's start with you at the front line. Come on up at the podium and state your name and address, and I do or don't.
John Christensen, I do. 8315 East 66th Street, Kansas City, Missouri.
Thank you, John. Next.
I do. Ron Roundtree, 8318 East 66th Street, KCMO 64133.
Thank you, Mr. Roundtree. Next.
Hello, Emily Jones, 8404 East 66th Street. I do.
Thank you.
I do. Dauphine Soul, 8314 East 67th Street, KCMO 64133.
Perfect. Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Rhonda Wagaman. I do. I live at 8300 East 67th Street, Kansas City, Missouri, 64133.
Thank you.
And
then don't we have, who's the test? Yeah, Mr. Burns.
Gregory Burns, 8308 East 67th Street, Kansas City, Missouri, 64133.
And that's an I do for you, sir? Yes?
I do, yes.
Okay, great. Sir, there's a list of administrative exhibits labeled 1 to 10 that we need to admit for your case today. First, do you have any questions on those exhibits? And if you don't or do, let me know. And otherwise, do we have your permission to admit those?
Yes.
All right. And no questions, right, sir?
No.
Okay, great.
I don't really know what I'm doing, so no.
That's okay. Those are admitted. Part of that is a presentation by Miss Saldari on your case.
I lost everyone. I can't see anybody.
Oh, we'll be back in a minute.
Oh.
Do you see in front of your screen CD BZA 2025? Do you see that?
Nope. It just went black. I was seeing everybody.
If I move it around. Do you see the screen now?
No.
I'll reshare just in
Oh,
case.
now I see again.
All right.
I'll reshare my screen. Maybe it'll work. Okay.
What about now?
Went blank again.
That may be a video driver on your end, sir. Stephanie's showing the PowerPoint presentation.
It's a PowerPoint presentation on your case.
I don't know how to see it.
Mr. Burns, this is Ms. Otto. You might look in the right-hand corner of your screen. Is there a button that says View? Can you see that?
Says meeting is live on YouTube. Bottom says leave. Show caption, share screen, raise hand,
This,
participants.
this would be in the top right-hand corner of your screen.
No, I see all the participants on here.
Right.
Should we continue with Stephanie's presentation? Then when we go to the screen with all the bodies, he can see all that.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Mr. Burns, she's showing the presentation, which would have been included. Is this?
It's basically what my staff report says. In this, the images Gregory submitted to me, so he's familiar with the images.
Yeah.
So I'll just continue. So we have docket item number 15, CDBCA 2025-59, located on 8308 East 67th Street, zone R-7.5. And the applicant is seeking an approval of a variance to the accessory building standards to permit a detached garage on the front yard of the lot. The proposed structure will be placed behind the existing house. However, this lot is a through lot, meaning the subject site has 2 front yards, thus triggering the need for a variance. So the subject site is not located there. I forgot to update that. I'm sorry. So it's about James A. Reed Road and 67th Street. So highlighted in yellow is the subject site. So as you can see, this lot fronts 2 streets, 67th and 66, which makes it a through lot. And per the code, this means that it has 2 front yards, and accessory structures cannot be placed on a front yard. So technically, the homeowner has no actual rear yard per the code. And this is a detached garage that we placed back here, fronting 66th Street. This is just a photo of the front of the house. And then this is the site plan. So essentially, if you can see this red box here, that is where the garage is proposed. And there will be a driveway leading to it. It's just not on the site plan yet. And then this is what this detached garage will look like. It is 3,600 square feet, but it is permitted. That size is permitted. And the height is 16 feet, which is the max allowed. And so we're looking at the variance request to the accessory building standards to permit a detached garage on the front yard of a through lot on the subject site. This is a complete deviation, a substantial change to the character of the neighborhood. It's not anticipated only because the property to the east is also a through lot with accessory structures behind the primary building. However, these buildings were most likely built prior to Chapter 88 with different standards. But the difficulty cannot be obviated due to the lot, again, being a through lot fronting a street on each end and having no true rear yard. So this significantly limits the location of an accessory structure, presenting a true hardship. And that concludes my presentation.
All right. Questions of Ms. Stephanie from board members? Go ahead.
Tiffany, did it say anything about the garage being made out of wood or metal?
I'll let the applicant speak to that. I believe it's not wood, probably metal. But I'll let him speak to that.
I'm willing to do it whichever way is permitted. I just thought metal would be stronger.
Yeah. That's not part of the approval process. So the material's not pertinent at this point, Mr. Burns.
Oh,
any
I
other-
thought someone asked a question. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Thank you.
Stephanie, on the overhead of the site plan, there's these two gray boxes about halfway through the property. What are those?
These two?
Yeah.
So from staff's understanding, it looks like they're either like
Share your
trailer-
screen. Share your
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back on the Zoom. Okay. Either trailers or like commercial trucks, which
No,
is part
they're
of.
trailers. They're trailers.
So, yeah, so the trailers, which is part of a different case, that's an open violation.
And those trailers are still existing, Mr. Burns?
Yes, sir. That's the reason for part of the reason for the garage, to put all my trailers in a garage along with my cars.
All right. Well, Mr. Burns, sorry, do you have another question?
So I just had another question about you had an oversight plan or a picture with a red line on it when you were talking about the driveway. Is that the tentative location of where that driveway will be?
No, so the red line here is showing, like, I guess just the entrance of the lot, but I'll let Gregory talk more about it, but when
look-
we spoke, it was gonna go from 66th Street from the back.
If you look where those trailers are, where you see in that picture with the arrow with the red line, I assume that's what you guys can see.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Straight back to the yellow line on the left corner. That would be the northwest corner. It's already like an open driveway that was there before the home was purchased, and that's where the entrance would come in. Another thing I heard them say, the front wouldn't be facing 66th Street. It would be facing the rear of the home.
So how would you enter the garage then?
Come through the driveway on the northwest corner, come up and come around to the driveway doors.
Like, do like an L shape?
Yes, drive south and turn to the east.
And will this proposed garage be sort of next to the home that I see to the right of this photograph?
It'll be up more from it, correct? To the east of the home, to the east of the property?
Right.
Yes, it would be further up towards my property, my home though.
Right, where most garages are.
Yes.
Okay.
And Mr. Burns, there's where the red line is farther into the property, there is a box of red. Is that the proposed location?
Approximate by, like I said, I'm doing this on my own, so it would be up a little more if there's a red box, and if you come up a little more towards the trailers where the trees were at, more trees, it'd be there.
All right.
I can't see what you
Any
guys
other
see. I'm just looking at the paper.
Any questions, board members? All right, sir, why should we approve your request today?
Well, as Ms. Aldari said, I already have violations for trailers and cars. I'm just trying to find a neater way to, this property was owned by my grandfather who passed. I'm trying to clean the property up and find a better looking way to put my trailers and cars and the things that I do have inside of a building. And that's all that's really my main focus. Just a place to put all my cars. It has a 2-car garage on the home, but I just want to be able to put all my other stuff in the back. My lawnmower, my trailers. I have like 4 trailers. I had right now there's a truck there, but the truck is just to carry some of that wood out of there. I had some dump trucks there before that I did move. I got a violation. Somebody sent me something in the mail, which I understood I couldn't keep them back there. So I did move them, except for the one that has to take the some of the existing trees and debris from there. But everything else that's in the video or the picture that you may have will be stored inside of a garage.
All right.
I do want to note, because there is the open violation, storing the trailers, dump trucks, or any type of commercial truck inside the detached garage does not resolve the violation because it's
Yeah,
still
they
in a residential zoning district.
I think Ms. Aldari, is this Ms. Aldari talking?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, she explained that to me already. I understood that.
You run a business out of your home, sir?
It's well, yes, that's the address for my business, correct. But I store my trucks at another location.
Sir, do you live at this address?
No, this was my parents' home.
So this home that is on this property is currently vacant. No one is living there.
Oh no, we're here every day. My sister stays here sometime. My brother. It's fully furnished and.
But I mean, but it's not someone's permanent residence, and it's really only being used to operate your business. Is that correct?
That's incorrect. It's where we hold our family. It's a family home, and I'm keeping it in the family. It's not a place for business. I got when I'm sitting here, I got a little room I can spin my computer around that we use as an office. I just didn't need to. I'm a truck driver. There's no reason to have a storefront for a truck driver.
So how many trucks do you own?
4.
And you have employees that operate some of these semi trucks?
Yes.
And you're also a truck driver yourself?
Yes.
And are they all semi trucks or dump trucks? What is the nature of the 4 trucks that you operate? What's the nature?
Dump trucks.
Dump trucks.
Yes.
So you're hauling debris for other people during the day or whenever you have contracts for that?
Yes.
Where do you
Right
store
now,
those trucks in the evening, sir? Where are they stored?
Public storage on 350 and Nolan Road.
And when you say you have trailers on the property, Mr. Burns, are those semi-trailer, dump trailers? What are those?
Motorcycle and car trailers.
So more like a horse trailer type, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
You can't tell from the picture, but yes. Yes. Not like dump trailers or anything like that. No.
And not semi-trailers.
No. I can actually go out and show you on this thing right here if need be.
Okay.
Not at this time, sir.
I had a question because I feel like we had a similar case where because want to make it clear that we are not talking about the business, whatever he does. It's simply the structure into that he's putting there.
Right.
And if I recall, the last time we had this case, it was a different between is it a garage or is it accessory dwelling in determining did we need a driveway too as part of this site plan. Because that would be my concern is I don't see where the driveway is and how do we ensure it will be built if the intention is to store vehicles in this garage.
Yes. So I did ask Gregory to send me an updated plan that I have not received yet with the driveway showing, to the detached garage. But if the variance is approved, he does still have to go through permits. And in the permitting process, during the reviews, if we don't see a driveway drawn on there, we would fail the review and they would have to resubmit either way.
But wouldn't it be easier to that point to have him prepare an actual diagram where we expect the driveway to be?
Yeah, I would think so.
Then to me, it sounds like we might need to continue the case. See what that driveway is going to be.
So Gregory, we need some more information in order to either approve or deny your motion today, your case. We've heard concerns about this driveway. And so you need to come back in a couple weeks or a month and let us see a more revised site plan, sir.
Okay, is it just the driveway or is it something else?
Mr. Evans, if I could interject, I'm one board member, but Mr. Burns, I would like a site plan that shows exactly where this building would be located. I mean, in terms of feet from 66th Street, feet from the side yards of your property, feet from 67th Street. So this board sees a scaled drawing that matches your property. And so we can actually see how its location will affect your neighbors and where your neighbors' houses are located so that we can have a fair assessment of your request.
That's fair. I understand.
All right. So we have some people in the audience, in the live audience, who came here to testify. So I'd like to hear from John or Ron or Emily or anybody to come on up to the podium and tell us your concerns on this case.
My name is Ron Roundtree. I live at 8318 East 66th Street.
Yes. And speak louder in the microphone.
Okay.
Too. Thank you.
It appears that some of the things that need to be done for his project are already happening, which kind of raised concerns for us in our neighborhood. We live on a street that's very residential. Kids ride bikes, people walk dogs, people take strolls, and it's not a through street, it's a dead end. And so we don't have much traffic on the street. So it's pretty safe right now for your animals and your kids. But we are certainly, I am concerned, I'll speak for me, that the dump trucks or commercial vehicles coming on 66th Street that will create a problem with not only just safety, but noise concerns, property value concerns. And so that's why I am here today, to get on record or get an idea of what exactly is trying to be done to our neighborhood that we have not been talked to about.
All right. Thank you, sir. Are the dump trucks there overnight?
There's
Yes.
one. There's one here right now that's half loaded to get rid of some more of that debris that he's talking about.
Well, you really can't park those overnight, sir, just to let you know. Ron, thank you for that testimony. Emily, John, Rhonda, anybody else? Come on up. Tell us your concerns.
Hello, my name is Emily Jones. I live on East 66 at the end of that dead end road. I do have 2 children, and we also walk our dogs and ride bikes. I have a 5-year-old and 2-year-old, and they're currently right now practicing riding bikes. So right now it's a really safe street. So I am concerned about the future of this project. And since the letters were not read, I'll go ahead and read what I submitted.
Well, we saw those.
Okay.
That's part of the testimony.
And you all read them as well?
Well, yeah, it's here in the staff report. It said written public testimony. We have at least 5 or 6 letters. Emily, I see Emily and Damian Jones.
Yes.
Yes.
Damian's my husband.
Right there. Yep. We've seen
Okay,
that.
perfect.
So no
So-
need to reread those, but if you want to say something else other than that,
No,
please do.
I just want to make sure that we are thinking about the integrity of our neighborhood and the children of the people that already live there, especially since these projects have already started. There was not a driveway there before. It was all full of beautiful trees with wildlife and a fence, and that has all been taken out, and a driveway has just been created with more traffic than we're used to seeing, and I know it's going to get worse. And the integrity of our neighborhood is definitely going to go down if this is allowed, especially with this owner owning a company and a company that drives trucks around. So I just want that to be thought about as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Jones, Emily.
May I speak for 1 second?
Not yet. We've got a few more people that may want to testify here. Then you can answer these concerns, sir.
Okay.
I think that's Rhonda, I think.
I'm Rhonda Wagaman.
And speak in the microphone, Rhonda. Thank you.
I'm Rhonda Wagaman. I live at 8300 East 67th Street. I also have a through lot. I live right next door to him. We've been putting up with dump trucks coming and going for more than a year. They're very loud. They come home from their job and they empty the back of their truck again. At their job site, they get a bunch of dirt in the truck that's still stuck in the truck. And they wait till they get back to his home, and in his backyard, he's back there lifting the bed of the dump truck up and going bang, 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 over and over again to try to get the dirt out.
Mm-hmm.
This is a residential neighborhood. It's all residential. He's running a business right next door to us. It's totally unacceptable, the amount of noise and disruption and the strangers, that are coming to the home, the different truck drivers, being woken up every morning, way too early from all this noise. It's a residence. It's not the place for a commercial trucking company. He's got a 2-car garage built onto his house. For the house that he owns, there's a 2-car garage. Why does he need another garage in the backyard? For commercial equipment. That's what, and that's why. And irregardless of the commercial equipment, he's got 3 vehicles with expired tags. There's a GMC black van that's been in that yard for over 10 years with expired tags. There's a silver Excursion in his front driveway that has been there for over 5 years with expired tags. The dump truck that's in his backyard right now that has expired tags. And then he's got 4 other dump trucks that he's hiding somewhere else.
Thank you, Ms. Rhonda. You've said your piece. Thank you so much. And your testimony will be recorded when he comes back again in a month. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm John. I have the property to the east of his property. The house you were alluding to that's going to be to the east of his building is my home. It's my primary home. From the records that I saw that he had submitted already, the corner of his building is going to be 90 feet off the corner of my house. This location with my house are 2 of my 3 bedrooms. It's actually where I sleep, so it's a little quieter. That is up until last year. It has been a year of tree removal, dump trucks, bulldozers, banging, beeping. If you notice the buildings he was going to build, one of them has a very large door. That's large enough to accommodate a commercial truck. The driveway he's created was actually in part of the ditch there on 66th Street. When it rains, water no longer drains. There's no tubing through it. So with that and the width of our road, which is extremely narrow on 66th Street, 2 cars have to almost put a shoulder wheel on each shoulder to get past. If we have commercial vehicle like trash removal, we can't get down until they get back through. That's how narrow of a street we live on. We all moved to this area because we like the quiet, rural, treed, peaceful part of the city without living in the city. We're so close to the core of the city. We picked where we live for a reason. That dynamic is about to change. I don't want to see a metal warehouse-sized building, 90 feet off the back of my house when I want to be back there barbecuing and entertaining guests. I don't want him doing maintenance inside the building where I'm hearing banging and compressors. Those are my concerns.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you giving testimony and waiting this morning to give it. Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Burns, I'll give you a few minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Come on up. Sorry. Please.
My name is Dauphine Soul. I'm at 8314 East 67th Street. I'm the house to the east of Mr. Burns. It's very upsetting to have what you thought was a peaceful 2-acre plot of land full of trees and animals turn into something else. Everybody in our area has between 2 to 6 acres of land. Basically, if he sets up his camp, it will be like having a quick trip in the middle of it. He has these huge trucks. They're very loud, they're smelly. And if anybody believes that he is no longer going to have those trucks there with that structure, they're insane. The whole point of this structure and ripping out a half acre of trees already to the point where it totally changes the dynamic of the neighborhood. He started this project well before he initiated variance. There's no way you guys could know that. My realtor came over and he saw everything that was going on. He goes, yeah, your property values will probably go down. It changes the whole character of the area, not just our 2 block. We've had a lot of change over there already. I just really don't want to see more change. Thanks.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Is there anyone else? I think we've got everybody. All right, Mr. Burns, you've got a few minutes here to comment, and then we're going to react to the motion on moving your case to another date. Please give us your quick comment, sir.
Well, the banging of the dump truck did happen. That was one time. They did complain to me about the trucks. Like I said, I have moved them all except for the one that's half full, and some stuff got to go in there this weekend. They already told me, Miss Aldari already told me I couldn't park my vehicles there. I explained to her that I wouldn't park the trucks there. I do have a leash to where I do park my trucks at, with video of me entering those places every day to go to work. So I won't be pulling the trucks there. It's strictly for my vehicles. And I have an RV, the neighbor to the east of me, so complain about all the stuff. He has the same things in his backyard. The neighbors, Miss Rhonda, I guess my machinery is cool when they need something done in their backyard, but I guess not for over here. But when they need my help, it's okay. I'm just not understanding about me wanting to put a garage up for cars. I understood the neighbor's concern. I said I wouldn't keep my vehicles there any longer. There aren't any dump trucks coming that way. For me anyway, they came through the front where the red arrow was. So I didn't understand why they saying dump trucks on their streets. They never came from that way. There's no driveway there, as they said. So how would they get up in my yard from that way? It's a lot of it's a lot of confusion, a lot of things they're saying that's just not true. It's
all right,
okay
Mr. Burns.
if you don't want the building, I understand, but just don't make up stories to things coming up and down your streets. There's no driveway there for a dump truck to get in the yard, as they said.
All right, Mr. Burns, how much time do you need to take in order to come up with a better site plan that's been requested?
I mean, I can have it done this week if possible. I mean,
well, does July 23rd work better than July 9th?
That's fine. Yes, sir.
All right.
I did have one question. Is there an active neighborhood association here?
Not an active one, or at least not one that's registered with the city.
Okay. Thank you, ladies.
It shows a South Kansas City Alliance being associated with this, but I think that's an umbrella organization.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Docket item number 15, case number 59. I move that we continue this case until our July 23rd docket.
I've got a motion by Ms. Wright. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gorens. Please call the roll.
Gorens,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Ventura,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. We'll see you on July 23rd, sir, with a new proposal or new site plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Byrne, you're kindly reminded you cannot park dump trucks overnight on your property.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right.
The Burns understand that that truck cannot be there until the weekend. That is commercial vehicle storage. That is a violation, and you do have a notice on that.
Yes, sir. And it's got legal plates on it too. Y'all can check with the city or with the state.
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It has legal plates. It cannot be there overnight, which means it cannot be there tonight, tomorrow night, or through the weekend. You need to move that from the site today.
I understand, sir.
That was Mr. Duddy, our zoning compliance officer. All right.
I hope they clean up everybody's yard.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Did
Did we do the roll?
We did skip one case.
Yeah, we did skip a case. Yeah. that's
Number
right.
8, we do not, no one has joined online. So
Continue that for one cycle till July 9th.
Good question, the audience.
Yeah, I'll call him and see. I'll let him know.
we do need a motion to continue that, please.
Okay.
I'll make a motion. Docket number 8, case number 44. I move that we continue this case to July 9th.
No fee.
No, with no fee.
Thank you. I have a motion to have a second on this docket number 8.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gorns.
Can I clarify? Generally, when we continue something that we've attached to the staff report, we do request a fee. So I just want to clarify if it's with fee or without fee.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm okay with doing with fee.
Okay.
So docket number 8, case number 44. I move that we continue this case with fee.
Motion by Ms. Wright. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gorns. Please call the roll.
Gorence,
Aye.
Otto,
Aye.
Wright,
Aye.
Ventura,
Aye.
Ebbets.
Aye. Continued with fee. Happy 4th of July, everybody, and we will see you on July 9th. Meeting adjourned.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Teresa. Thank you. Feel better. Let's see your wrist.
Oh, yeah. Gonzalo can attest.
Oh.
I still have quite a bit of purpling and yellowing here.
No more high